Hello guys, bare blessings to all those who celebrate. You are listening to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting Marigold. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined by Mr. Bear Dance himself. It is Kuma Matt Turner. Matt Turner, bare blessings.
Bear blessings to you, bear blessings to your family, bear blessing to each and every one of you out there in podcast world, and of course, bear blessing to all of our listeners on the YouTube feed as well. Bear blessings to everybody as we record this on a beautiful Friday that we're having over here, my friend. It's been a long time since we recorded on Friday. First of all, one, how are you doing today? And second, any fun plans for the weekend, my friend?
Well, at the moment, no, because we are having what can only be described as an absolute mother of a storm outside. So nothing, obviously, today, but tomorrow, fingers crossed, if the weather has improved, me and Kirsty will be walking down the canal to a local restaurant, I suppose, to have breakfast. So that'll be nice. But otherwise, I've got a football match Sunday morning, and then Sunday afternoon we'll be recovering / moaning about the football match that I've played in the morning. So it's a busy week, a busy weekend. What about you?
But I'm really excited because I think we usually record alternate commentary on Monday. So I will have to ask you as we're recording about your beating that you will be taking on said Sunday. Really not much going on today. Amber just told me I literally just walked in the door. She told me she's going to our nephew's basketball game. So she'll be doing that. So I'll probably be eating dinner alone, Rob Goodwin, hence 2 dates. Last week she had 2 dates in 24 hours with me. So I get it. You know what I mean? The old Jim Cornette would always say, how can I miss you if you never leave? So I have that. And then tomorrow, I don't think really much going on tomorrow. There'll be the gym in the morning. And then probably when I come home, I'll watch the Stardom show. So I think the Stardom show is live. And then Sunday will be pizza day. And back to church, just because for the last 2 Sundays, it just happened to snow. So there was no in-person worship. So it'll be my first time back at actual church in 2 weeks, which is probably my favorite hour of the week. But no, nice little low-key weekend, which I always like. I'm sure I'll be working on something because if I'm not working, I'll be going crazy. But can't complain though, buddy. Life is well. Life treats me very well. Like Joe Walsh said in that song, life's been good to me thus far. I did just put some beers in the fridge, so I may indulge in 1 or 2 beers before I fall asleep on the couch at 6:30, because that's what I do at a rock star at 42 years old, my man. Just, yeah, exactly. Path of Thunder. Rock and roll.
Not Path of Glory, which is what I kept saying yesterday. No, but yes, today we are looking at Marigold, obviously off the back of what was, to my mind, probably the best Korakuen Hall show they've done in a fair while. I would say this is the best Korakuen show since the one main evented by Sari and Bozilla. I thought top to bottom, considering the injuries that Marigold have got, and it is getting a bit beyond a joke for them now. Obviously, we talked last week about Naho Yamada. Fingers crossed, touch wood, there's no other injuries. Although, to be fair, I did think Ria Sato, and we'll talk about this on the Sendai show, I was convinced from, I think it was a double foot stomp from Riara, I was convinced she'd popped a rib again, because the way she went down, she got one of the ice things during the match. I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah.
Please no.
I did see that.
Then during the Korakuen, Sonny Gutierrez, if you're listening to this, right, don't announce before a match, now Ishikawa not taking part in this match. My stomach dropped. I was like, this can't be another injury. Sure. And then Gigaton came out, and honestly, I've never had a better time watching wrestling. Now Ishikawa, man, like, honestly, lived and breathed that gimmick. I absolutely loved it. But yes, we are going to be talking about a tremendous Korakuen Hall show, a really, really good show on the 16th as well, from Hodogaya, with obviously the formation of Darkness Revolution, which we're going to be chatting about, but also a really, really good concept for the show with the Challenge Series and some excellent matches that came from that. Nane's match with Ria Sato I thought was really good. Utami's match with Naoya Ishikawa was really good. And Chika Goto, tip of the cap, your performance against Mirai, absolutely tremendous. We're going to be talking about that Sendai show on Valentine's Day and going all the way back to the 11th as well for the Chinichi Hall show, because if you remember on our last episode, that hadn't quite dropped on Wrestle Universe. We're obviously going to delve pretty much straight into those shows very shortly, simply because we recorded the Stardom cast yesterday, and most of the news we covered in that show. So if you want to go back and listen to that, you are more than welcome to in the archives. There's just two little bits of news that I want to very, very briefly talk about. But before I do that, I just want to remind everyone, patreon.com/the Stardom cast. If you are looking to just listen to a singular episode, or you want something that is in the tier above you or something like that, all episodes are now available for $3 to purchase on a one-time payment rather than a monthly based subscription, if that's something that you can't do. And I completely understand that as well. So if there is something you want to listen to, you can't, maybe you're on the $3 tier, you want something on the $5 tier, but you can't commit to a $5 a month. Again, completely get that. You can purchase any episodes in the archive for $3. So just wanted to remind everyone of that, because I think that's a relatively new thing on Patreon. So just wanted to remind everyone that.
Yeah, good call on that, because I know there's been some of our listeners that aren't subscribers to Patreon, which again, we completely understand and we thank for your support on the weekly feed. That when we drop a certain alternate commentary, they just want to listen to that, or they want to go back and listen to an alternate commentary we did a couple years ago of Mayu versus Io, or Hazuki versus Saya Kamitani, or Tam versus anybody, or if there's any roundtable discussions that somebody wants to listen to, that they're a $1 Patreon member, they want to listen to a roundtable discussion or a tag team breakdown, you can do that. If you don't want to subscribe to the monthly fee, you just want to, I just want to listen to these 1 or 2 episodes. There it is right there, because there is a lot of episodes that we have done on the Patreon over the last 3 years. I mean, hundreds upon hundreds of episodes between alternate commentary, tag team breakdowns, some of these new segments, matches with Matt, rivalry reviews, roundtable discussions, fantasy booking on What If. We know there's a lot of Arisa Hoshinki fans out there, and we did a What If about 2 years ago. What if Arisa Hoshinki did not get injured? And if you just want to listen to that episode, you don't want to subscribe to a monthly fee, $3 gets you less than $1 a week, my friend.
Absolutely. I'm just having a look to see if we actually have ever done Saya Kamitani versus Suzuki from the Triangle Derby final. We must have done, surely.
I think we did, or maybe I did it as an alternate commentary. If not, that might be a is it still 5 stars with Andy Header? That's got to be in there, buddy. It's got to be in there.
We did. We didn't. So the match aired 4th of March. We'd done it by the August. So, clearly we didn't waste much time.
That was our Hazuki month, right? That was our Hazuki month.
Of course it was.
Of course we did, yeah.
Of course we did. Silly boy. Yes. Silly boy. Speaking of Hazuki, let's delve straight into some news. And we start with the Wild Heart herself. And that's because she is the latest name to be announced for Barb Sasaki's 25th anniversary show, Crazy Fest, which is due to take place March 10th in Korakuen Hall. We've mentioned this before with Mayu Iwatani being announced for the show. Starlight Kid has been announced for the show. Suzu Suzuki has also been announced for that show, as well as a whole host of other wrestlers from different promotions. And Noel Desperado has been announced as well. And like I say, whole host of other talent. No opponent for Hazuki or Mayu or Starlight Kid as of yet, though I imagine they are going to start confirming matches soon. However, one thing they have announced is that Suzu Suzuki is going to be taking on Rina Yamashita in a death match, which that's going to be great. That's going to be worth the price of admission alone. But this is shaping up to be a very, very, very good card, and something that I'm really, really looking forward to checking out, Matt.
Yeah, and again, the Stardom participation on this show is very heavily, and it's not like, no disrespect, it's not like they're sending Aya Sakura or Sayaka. They're sending the big guns. Suzu Suzuki coming off the best match of her career. Mayu, she's okay. Starlight Kid, and of course, the People's Champion, the Wrestling Machine, Hazuki. This is in Korakuen Hall, correct there, Mr. Rob Goodwin?
March 10th, Korakuen Hall, yeah.
Wow, we got that week of March, the 8th. is the start of the Cinderella tournament. The 9th is the AW pay-per-view with Momo and Mercedes, and then the 10th is Korakuen Hall. So tell you what, it's a good thing that after this slew of shows in March, that we have nothing going on in April. Nothing whatsoever. We can
Nothing
just
at all.
relax. It's not like a WrestleMania or Stardom wrestlers coming to the United States, or Stardom trying to draw 8,000 to 10,000 people in a big venue that All Japan used to run. Nothing like that at all, buddy. So we can just kick our feet up in the month of April. Enjoy your birthday month, my man, and
absolutely.
we'll see you guys in May. But no, this is it's exciting. It's really cool that they're all going to be on the show. Suzu going back to her death match roots. I don't think we've seen her in a death match in quite some time. I mean, she had the thing with Great Okan, which was more of a hardcore match. But again, Korakuen Hall is known for anything goes there. I mean, we've seen Big Japan do the crazy stuff in that building before. So that's going to be a fun one. We don't know what Mayu's doing. We don't know what Starlight Kid's doing. We don't know what Hazuki's doing other than being awesome. Rob, do we by chance know who some of the other participants on that show are outside of the Stardom realm? Just maybe we could start fantasy booking.
Well, I know they did announce the main event, and it was a 3-way with Despy in it. And I can't remember. I think it was Jun Kasai is in that match as well, which, Jun Kasai and El Desperado had an absolutely amazing match. 2023, I think it was a brilliant singles match. So let me just have a look. I'm just on the official Twitter page, so give me a second. We have got, it is going to be on New Japan World, by the way.
That'll be my next question, buddy. How'd you know?
There you go.
Because of Bear Blessings.
Because of Bear Blessings, absolutely. Yeah, Jun Kasai is in the triple death match main event. There we go. Who else is in this match? Let's have a look. Twitter taking an absolute age to load. Come on. There we go. Nope, it's not loading. Don't know why it's not loading. We've also got Shuji Ishikawa, I believe, is announced for the card. We've got members of DDT as well, a couple of members of Freedoms. Tomoaki Honma is also on that card. Again, Rina Yamashita as well. We've got Kamatani from Big Japan Pro Wrestling. So that's going to be entertaining. There's a whole host of talent that's announced. I think Hazuki was something like fighter number 17 or something announced. So there's a whole host of people announced for that show. It's going to be an exciting day of wrestling. Moving on, talking about anniversary shows. I was saying to Mayu Kihi ran her anniversary show called Back Then, Now, and in the Future. She ran that on the 15th of February from Korakuen Hall, drew a house of 1,009 people. A lot of people participating on this show, including Mayu Kihi, who has a fractured arm. So came out and did a match in spite of her fractured arm, which fair play. The main event initially, by the way, lasted 6 seconds, and then they restarted the match and it went 34 minutes. So, but what makes me laugh is the first match, the one that went 6 seconds, rated 7 out of 10 on Cage Match, which is brilliant. But in terms of why I wanted to bring this up, 6-1 or a 6-person tag team match, we had some Marigold participation. Mai Sakurai and Utami Hayashishita were both on this card, both participating on opposite teams of a 6-person tag. Dash Chisako, Jaguar Yokota, and Mai Sakurai defeated Kakeru Ritasera and Utami Hayashishita in 13 minutes and 17 seconds. Now, I believe there is a place you can watch this. I don't know where that is, but I'm sure someone will let us know. And if you could let us know as soon as possible, that would be great. Soriano also on this card as well, winning a battle royal, also contained Mike Ozaki and Ram Kai Chao, as well as Fuminori Abe, which, fair play.
Rob, do you by chance know if Soriano won this battle royal with the Tundra?
I can only begin to imagine that she won it with the I've got no idea how that sounds in the edit, by the way. I don't go this far into the edit, so hopefully that comes up as lovely as I think it sounds in my head.
11 out of 10.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. But yes, obviously this was this was all the news really coming out of Joshi in the 2 days that have been between the Stardom cast and the Marigold Standard, which usually means at the moment we drop this, which will be Saturday morning, it means that there'll be an absolute slew of news that we have missed. So great stuff. What we'll do is then we are going to go straight into these 4 shows we want to talk about. We've got the card announced for the Marigold show tomorrow, or today, if you're listening to this on the free feed in Osaka, the 176 box. We'll run through that card after we've gone through this as the New Year Golden Garden tour wraps up. Obviously, we do have a new Marigold World Championship #1 contender, which is great. That has been confirmed for the next Korakuen Hall show on the 31st of March, which is very exciting. With that being said, then let's go all the way back to the 11th of January for night 8 of the New Year Golden Garden series. This was from Chunichi Hall in Aichi, where they drew 315 people. This is the second time that Marigold have run the venue, second time in under a month. 315 is a marginal increase of just over 2% on the 307 that they drew on the 13th of January, which is even more impressive when you consider the previous event in Chunichi Hall featured Utami Hayashista's first defense of the Marigold World Championship against Tank. So again, nice bit of consistency and even a little bit of an increase in terms of attendance there, especially seeing as this was little more really than a tour show. Running through the results then, we had a singles match, Misa Matsui defeating Rhea Sato with a cross-legged fisherman suplex in 8 minutes and 28 seconds. Now Ishikawa defeated Riara with the Tachia Girl in 5 minutes and 23 seconds. In a 3-way match, Natsumi Shozuki defeated Ryoko Sakamura and Minami Yuki, with Shozuki pinning Ryoko Sakamura in 9 minutes and 6 seconds with the Samato. In tag team action, Mai Sakurai and Mika Wano defeated Mirai and Chika Goto, with Mai Sakurai submitting Chika Goto with the STF in 17 minutes and 34 seconds, which was my match of the show. Really enjoyed that match. Tag team semi-main event, Utami Hayashishita and Victoria Yuzuki defeating the Dark Wolf Army team of Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki, with Victoria Yuzuki getting the pinfall over Chiaki with the cross-arm suplex in 15 minutes and 28 seconds. And then in your main event, Nanae Takahashi and Seri Yamaoka defeated Bozilla and Megaton. Seri Yamaoka submitting Megaton with the ankle lock in 12 minutes and 16 seconds that prompted something of an outburst from Bozilla backstage. She was not happy at Megaton costing her yet another match. Looking straight then at this opening match, Matt, Misa Matsui and Rhea Sato. Rhea Sato has really impressed me over this run of shows, particularly against Nanae Takahashi and in that opening match at Korakuen, where I felt like she was the central focus of that match, did a tremendous job. And there was something that was mentioned on commentary, which I really like, which I want to go back to in terms of Rhea Sato. For me, however, here, obviously the main focus of this match is that Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki, having kidnapped Misa Matsui at the end of her Superfly Championship match with Victoria Yuzuki on the 7th, came out in support of her and then escorted her backstage. Really supportive following her victory. Misa Matsui seemingly not knowing what to do or what was happening. And this was when we were still sort of not sure as to what was happening with Misa Matsui and the Dark Wolf Army. Obviously, now we are a lot wiser with hindsight, but this was a really interesting dynamic for this match.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Misa Matsui quite a bit on this podcast. Again, we're covering 4 shows on this podcast, which is great because we haven't really covered too many Marigold shows pretty much since the beginning of the year, just with them. I think there was one show last week or when it aired or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot going to be going on with Misa Matsui because just how much he's evolved over these shows. You see in this match, he starts out really aggressive. And what I think Marigold needs to do is they need to be doing backstage vignettes where they show Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki almost brainwashing Misa Matsui, like we saw Baron Zemo brainwashing Bucky Barnes in the Winter Soldier and in Civil War. So I think that's like basically sitting around a chair and then like doing the call letters, and all of a sudden she turns into the Psycho Speed Queen, looking like an evil villain in the Alice in Wonderland comics, which we'll get into in that Korakuen Hall show because she's just what she's been able to do with her character is amazing, and I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she comes out of this match very aggressive, like more aggressive than normal. Like not bending the rules a little bit, just really showing more aggressive strikes, more aggressive submissions. She's able to, like, she's not breaking the count right away when somebody gets to the rope. She's being a little bit more aggressive towards the referee. You can see it's starting to evolve. It's starting to turn into the dark side again, which we'll get into. Rhea Sato is able to, weather an early storm for Misa Matsui, able to come back with those great arm bars, really great submissions, locking in the cattle mutilation. Misa Matsui comes back with a flying knee that kind of just puts Rhea Sato out, and then she hits that cross leg suplex for the 3 count. Solid match. Again, Rhea Sato, she was terrific, and she's great. Her and Riara, and we'll get into that later. Her and Riara as a tag team, they really seem to gel well. But what this was just the evolution of Misa Matsui's character as we start to see it really develop over these shows. Again, I thought this was great putting this match on first because Rhea Sato is somebody that is getting better each and every outing, and Misa Matsui is somebody that they're definitely putting a huge focus on these last few shows. So I like how you kind of have one of your main focal points as one of your first people to come out on this show. Does a good job getting the crowd involved, and a solid enough match at about 8.5 minutes. 3.5 stars for me, my friend. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, what was interesting was we have seen this sort of slow increase over these 4 shows that we're going to talk about. Sort of that uptick in the aggression of Misa Matsui, and it has been relatively subtle, but when you consider actually it's only been 4 shows. And I was sort of thinking, okay, well, what's the motivation for Misa Matsui to join Darkness Revolution? And it's actually a very simple story that they've told. Basically, she's tried 3 times for the Superfly Championship by being, the Super Kawaii, the superstar, the speed star, sorry, just being this baby face and playing by the rules, and it's gotten her nowhere. And actually, she started to see some success with, the Dark Wolf Army. They've been champions in Marigold, something that she's never been. And it's a very simple story. And I think having a faction in Marigold is going to make booking a lot easier. I think once we get those injuries back, we've also got a brand new member of the roster, which we're going to be talking about in Korakuen Hall a little bit later on. Once we get these numbers back, it wouldn't surprise me if we do see perhaps another faction forming, which will be very exciting because, again, it does make things a lot easier when it comes to booking and things like that. And Misa Matsui again. You mentioned that flying knee. Best flying knee in the business. The height she gets is wild. It really is. I love it.
The snap of like how when she runs, and then she's almost like prime Kenta or Bryan Danielson, who will admit it that he took it from Kenta. But yeah, that's like prime Noah Kenta, the way she's able to kind of just snap back at it. And it really looks like she's driving that knee almost through her opponent. And like how she's using that to set up for her finish in this match. I thought it was brilliant. Again, Rhea Sato, just terrific there.
She used it in Korakuen as well to set up the actual just the running knee, which eventually got the pinfall over Chika Goto. But I think it's a mixture of the height she gets, the snap, absolutely, but the speed with which she charges in with that, it's like a mixture of that and the height. It just looks so effective. And genuinely, I think that could be her finisher. Genuinely, best one in the game.
Yeah, either that or she could use the Kawhi driver, like the cross-legged into the almost like the Star Crusher. She can do that too because like not only that, but like the psychology of that move is she's so fast you don't have time to prepare for it. Like that's the psychology. You just get hit with something or you go for your big move and she slips out and she hits you with it. So that's the whole, you can do that. Not only does it look cool, but in a big match situation, maybe with Utami, we'll get into the big match situation, you can use that knee to get out of something and then transition into a huge falsie, because it's just like, I didn't see it coming because she's so fast with it. So it's crazy how one move can just get over in so many different ways if you know how to use it. And Misa Matsui
Absolutely
knows how to use it, partner. Excuse me.
Yeah, we're quite big fans of Misa Matsui. Just in case you didn't know, here on the Marigold Standard, we are big stands for Misa Matsui. And when we talk about Korakuen Hall, there's lots of different directions that I hope they go with Misa Matsui. Moving on, we had now Ishikawa and Riara, and now Ishikawa tremendously over with the crowd, tremendously solid undercard wrestler who I think, especially following her match with Utami, I think her stock has raised. Yes, she went on that losing streak, and that was the story arc that she went through with now Ishikawa, and then she was effectively bullied by Sari in that main event of Korakuen Hall, which was actually a really good match. But I think that she has slowly but surely been putting in these really, really good performances. And again, it wouldn't surprise me if now Ishikawa is someone that we eventually see getting another Twin Star Championship run. I wouldn't be opposed to her having a pure white belt shot. I mean, what have you got to lose? She's massively over with the crowd. She's a great underdog. She's got a good moveset. She sells brilliantly. She doesn't have to win. I don't think anyone would anticipate her winning, especially if she was, maybe second or third for Mai Sakurai. I don't think she would win it, but I think she'd be a really, really good competitor. And I think she would have a fantastic match with whoever she was put in the ring with. I don't think she's ready for the Crimson Red Belt yet. I don't think she's in that sort of band of people yet. Crucially, that word yet. But, yes, okay, this is effectively, a 5-minute undercard throwaway match. That match against Utami, fantastic. The match against Gigaton, 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome. But, in all seriousness, like, it shows that different style to that different side of her, and she's able to have all these different matches, wear these different masks, both physically apparently and metaphorically. I have a lot of time for now Ishikawa, and I hope that she gets that opportunity, possibly within the next year. I mean, we are going to have to start pushing members of the roster, like we did with Koki Amare. We gave Koki Amare that white belt shot. We've put her in main events and things like that. And I personally think she flourished. So, now Ishikawa could be someone that we put maybe not to main event levels, but certainly in that white belt picture alongside. In a couple of months' time, I think Chika Goto is probably there as well. Misa Matsui, who we're going to be talking about, is ready now, in my opinion. But now Ishikawa, really, really, really good. And again, Riara, really solid undercard wrestler that, again, and I feel like I'm saying this every week, and I probably am, has come in at the perfect time for Marigold to shore up that undercard and to offer a bit of stability when people are going down with injuries and cards are having to be changed. We know that this card had to be changed relatively quickly. I know that the Sendai Pit and the show from Hodogaya had to be changed because of Naho Yamada's injury. And again, Riara is someone that you can slot in any sort of position. She's going to have a good match. I did like it at Korakuen Hall when I can't remember if it was Sonny Hustu that mentioned it's good to see that she hasn't brought the champagne bowl to the ring, because last time she did, she ended up absolutely KOing herself with the bottle. But yes, overall, a 5-minute match, a good match. But again, I'm such a fan of now Ishikawa that I am hopefully manifesting this into the universe that she gets that opportunity.
Yeah, just real quick, as far as the match goes, I wish we got more time. 5.5 minutes, It was fine. Now does a great job grinding down the headlock and making the headlock look believable. Riara gets a little bit of advantage. We get some back and forth, some near falls towards the end. And then now Ishikawa hits her version of the Kuma roll because bare blessings, right, Rob? I guess that's
bare blessings.
Bare blessings. Solid enough match, 5.5 minutes. Again, I wish they would have gotten more time to tell their story. 3.25 stars, but just the tough said before. Now Ishikawa, you're right. Maybe in 2 or 3 months you do a little, maybe at like a Shinkiba show, you do like a mini tournament to crown your number one, like a a 2-match series, or like a semifinals and finals, where it's like the wrestler has to win 2 matches to become the number one contender for Mai Sakurai's pure white belt, or as you call it, the untitled, my friend, the untitled, and then do it in Korakuen Hall. I totally agree. In the next 2, 3, 4 months, you should get now. Ishikawa should be getting a shot at the United National Championship. And it's got to be in Korakuen Hall because that's where she's the most over. And let it be during Sakurai's reign, because Sakurai's having great matches. But let's see if Sakurai can take somebody in the middle of the card and bring her up to her level very much. And we'll get into, like we saw Utami do it now, Ishikawa on the third show we're going to review, and just have him go 15, 16, 17 minutes. And let's see what Now can do. Put her in that sink or swim spot and have Mai Sakurai be able to help her to see if Sakurai can elevate her. But yeah, I'm all for that. Again, now Ishikawa, she was so close to defeating Utami Hayashishita that the next show in Korakuen Hall, she came out dressed as Gene Simmons, my friend. So, you got to give nothing but love for that. But again, solid enough match. 3.25 stars. Riara is really coming along. I think right now her place is Team Ria Sato, because I think like the biggest strength with Marigold over the last 6 months is their tag division, because it's so good and the tag matches have been so fantastic. Is give them a little bit of a run. Maybe not have a tag team challenge, but have them go up against the Dark Wolf Army of Chiaki, Nagisa, and Ozaki, because that's your big heel tag team. Have them have a match on one of these Wrestle Universe shows against Utami and Victoria Yuzuki, because we don't know how long Kazuna Tanaka is going to be out. Have them have a great match with Mirai Mai Sakurai. I mean, there's so many other different, Natsumi Shirozuki, Miko Ano versus Riara and Ria Sato. I think that would be terrific. There's a lot of different things that you can do, and I'm all here for it, my friend, because again, these slew of shows from Marigold were all fantastic, and they're starting to put the pieces in place despite all the injuries. So as good as everything is, Rob, how much better it's going to be when now Ishikawa comes back? Or not now Ishikawa, Naho Yamada. How great is everything going to be when Naho Yamada comes back, my friend? We're just going to get better.
Absolutely, because that Korakuen Hall show, the only thing it was missing was a live rendition of an entrance theme. So I'm looking forward to her coming back, not only because she sings her entrance theme and she's full of passion, but just because she's great. And you mentioned Miko Ano and Natsumi Shirozuki. They're teaming together at the 176 box in Osaka tomorrow as we record. So that's going to be really exciting. In fact, I believe it's them versus Chiaki and Misa Matsui of Darkness Revolution. So that's going to be an exciting tag match. And also, you said about one-night tournaments. That's not something that Marigold are opposed to doing. We saw them do it for they did the tag team cup that was one night. A one-night tournament to crown a number one contender, I think would be a great draw for a Shinkiba show, or for a I don't know, a Sendai Pit or something like that. Give the show an identity. And again, that Hodogaya show, I think, really benefited from having that theme running through it. And I think now Ishikawa, again, is someone that you can absolutely put in a white belt situation and she will flourish. Moving on, then, we have a three-way. This was initially a tag match with Natsumi Shirozuki and Naho Yamada teaming together against Minami Yuki and Ryoko Sakamura. Obviously, that needed to change because of Naho Yamada's knee injury. Again, we haven't got a timetable for her return as of yet. But this was great. And again, I've been massively impressed with Minami Yuki's progress. She seems to have taken on that mantle of Rookie of the Year, and the confidence that seems to have given her. Like, she seems to be exploding into the ring in just this cloud of passion. Clearly, Nanae Takahashi's been in her ear, and she just seems to be far more confident in the ring. And again, that comes with reps and things like that. Ryoko Sakamura, I think, is doing a very, very good job. She is developing well. Her strikes looked significantly better at Korakuen Hall as well. But again, Natsumi Shirozuki is the glue that holds this together because she is fantastic.
Yeah, I literally took the words out of my mouth, because it's, again, three ways are tough to do, especially when you have two rookies in there, because if something gets messed up, you're kind of just like, oh, like we need the veteran to kind of set this together. It was a simple story to tell. 9 minutes was enough time for everybody to get their shine in, but not overstay their welcome. I like how you mentioned Minami Yuki. I like how she's now doing that hammerlock guillotine into like a swing, really putting the pressure on the neck. That looks really good. And getting Ryoko Sakamura she's been on every show, and she's getting the reps in every single match. They're giving her anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes, whether it's a tag or whatnot. But I thought all participants were great. Like Natsumi Shozuki, she comes out and you can clearly tell, even if you've never seen a Marigold show before, you've never seen any of these 3 wrestlers wrestle before, you can clearly tell she's the big star and the veteran in this match because she comes out and asserts her dominance with the strikes, with the hard hitting, with just the pacing that she does. And then it's basically the rookies kind of pitch, get rid of Natsumi Shozuki, and you see Minami Yuki and Ryoko Sakamura going back and forth with the quick pins because it's like, hey, I'm not getting paid by the hour. The longer this goes, more time for the former Super Flyweight Championship to come in the ring to break up the falls. Eventually, that's what happens. Slingshot knees, the bullet train knees, the kicks, the strikes, but ultimately it's the running Samato to the rookie of Ryoko Sakamura to get the pinfall. And again, 3 ways are tough to do, and this one was really, really good. 3.5 stars for me, my friend.
Yeah, and obviously we know that Minami Yuki and Ryoko Sakamura are friends outside the ring. They're both part of Stu Fulton's favorite idol group, Clip Clip, apparently. So
yours as well, buddy. Yeah, isn't it like
absolutely?
It's like Blink 182 and Clip Clip. That's right there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at my Spotify and it is very much Blink-182, Slipknot, Beartooth, Clip Clip. That tends to be the Spotify, and my Spotify Wrapped is all Clip Clip. It's all Clip Clip. Similar to you and Meltier, I imagine. Tag team action then, Mai Sakurai and Miko Ueno against Chika Goto and Mirai. This was fantastic, and there's a couple of reasons this was fantastic. One, they're really driving home this whole slump that Miko Ueno has been on since she dropped the white belt. Big fan of that. Love that, because I am a big fan of when people drop belts or people lose title matches, and it's not just, to use a very British expression, water off a duck's back. It doesn't just, right, okay, we're straight into the next show as though it didn't happen. I'm a big fan of the fact that we are sort of continuing that slump. And yes, she doesn't get the win here, but she's still, like, oh, thank God, I finally picked up a victory. Yes, Mai Sakurai was the one who got the submission, but even so, I'm on the winning team, and I'm a big fan of that. I thought Chika Goto, considering, the company that she's in, I think she did a very, very good job. A very good job. And I'm really excited for the year that Chika Goto is going to have. And you look at the Dream Star, where she would have a good match, she'd have an okay match, she'd have a match where like that probably didn't need to go as long as it did. And actually, more credit to her, because the more I've seen her in ring, the better she's become, the more accomplished she's become. And a note that I made about the Korakuen show, I'm going to put it here, is that she's slowly but surely putting together the in-ring stuff that matches the aura and the character that she has coming to. Like, she comes to the ring, she's got that aura, that confidence, your eyes are drawn to her. And I think there was a little bit of a disparity between the in-ring stuff and the character work. And yet now I feel like slowly but surely, as I mentioned, that in-ring work is becoming far more solid, far more consistent. And it's now matching with that, that star quality that she does emanate. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops further and what's in store for Chika Goto, especially when Koki Amare returns.
Yeah, I mean, nothing but big things. And we pretty much said every week, let's say it here again. Chika Goto was dealt a bad hand. Nobody's fault when she got injured in that big match with Koki Amare. It was third from the top. A lot of eyes on Koki Amare. They did a great job building that matchup. Chika Goto was out like 3-4 weeks with an injury. That was supposed to be a big, big match for her. And it didn't unfold because, unfortunately, Koki Amare got injured. And nobody's fault. It just happens. And what did Chika Goto do? She's just like, that's the way that it is. Can't change it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put on the best performance I can each and every night. And that's what she's been doing. And this match right here is a prime example. Obviously, we will get into the double arm bar that Mariah had her in the challenge series, and her face is just covered in blood, and her yelling, no, no, no. I mean, that's heart. That's
So
fighting
good.
spirit. That is something that you can get behind as a fan of pro wrestling. But this match was terrific because look at everybody that you have in here. You have your first two, and obviously the current pure white belt champion, United National Champion with Miko Ano and Mai Sakurai, Chika Goto, who big things are on tap for. Mirai, who is already your pick to win the Dream Star this year. Robbie's already going all in with that. Mirai is terrific. And it's a great story with Mirai dropping that fall to Bozilla in Korakuen, which again we'll get into. But Mirai's terrific. She's one of those ones that a loss just doesn't hurt her because she knows she knows who Mirai is in the ring. Ultimately, this was great. Again, you're building this match around Chika Goto. Let's get Chika Goto over even more. And that's what happens with this match. Really great stuff. I mean, her stuff with Miko Ano was really good. Her stuff with Mai Sakurai was terrific. Again, we know what the next red belt match is. We don't know what the next United National Championship match is. Maybe Chika Goto, maybe we hotshot her a championship on that same show. You know, that would a great 1-2 punch that would be Chika Goto versus Mai Sakurai as the semi-main event, and then Utami Hayashishita versus Bozilla. Why not? Because a lot of people are behind Chika Goto, and she was terrific here. Even in the loss, I thought she was great. Again, Miko Ano, Mirai, their chemistry is second to none. Sakurai and Mirai, they have really good chemistry, not only as opponents, but partners as well. But again, Chika Goto here, even in a loss, to me in this match with these three other main eventers, she came out as the match was built around her. Let's establish her. And ultimately, what does that do? Like a Chika Goto, for you, everybody watching on YouTube, you'll see what I'm doing. Chika Goto going into this match is here. At the end of the match, she's here. And what happens? Mai Sakurai beats her. So what does that give Mai Sakurai? It puts her here. So ultimately, that just makes Mai Sakurai look better. But at the same time, you do it and you elevate Chika Goto in this match. It's brilliant psychology. It's simple storytelling. It's unselfishness. We see it all the time in Stardom, Sendai Girl, basically in all of Joshi. They do a really good job of building somebody up and then beating them at the end because even though they lost, they were the MVP of this match. That's exactly what Chika Goto was. I agree, partner. This was my favorite match of this show. I gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, really, really good. And obviously, we're going to have a lot of a Mirai discussion when we get to Korakuen Hall. Moving on then to the semi-main, which saw the challengers for the Twin Star Championships team together against the Dark Wolf Army. Another fantastic example of why the Dark Wolf Army are a really, really necessary commodity in Marigold. I think they are a solid team. Again, you said about Mirai, knowing who Mirai is. These two characters know exactly who they are. I feel like Nagisa Nozaki has had a really underrated start to 2025. Every time she's been in the ring, she's been fantastic. She's helped guide Chiaki and her character as well. And again, we saw the flourishings of some tag team offense from Victoria Yuzuki and Utami, and it's great that we have been developing them as a team ahead of Korakuen Hall. A really, really good performance from everyone involved in this match.
Yeah, I'm just going to nip this in the bud because this is what happened when Utami and Kokiyamare were really getting going and as a tag team, and obviously Kokiyamare unfortunately got injured. Utami and Victoria Yuzuki have 3 great tag matches, and what we're going to talk about in these shows. I believe Utami said that she has found her permanent tag partner, Victoria Yuzuki. Again, for people that want to rile me up, I'm nipping this in the bud. Victoria Yuzuki is not the new Saya Kamatani. She is not Utami Hayashishita's new partner. You did it with me with Kokiyamare, folks, and you try to get positive Matt Turner going, saying she found her new side, the new Aphrodite, the new Queen's Quest. Let's just pump the brakes here. In all seriousness,
it's better than Aphrodite. Let's be honest. Oh, he's left. Oh, he's gone. Oh no. I broke Matt.
Bear blessings to you all. Blessings to you all. Anyway, so you knew what you're going to get going into this match, right? You kind of already figured out the psychology. Victoria Yuzuki starts out doing the fast start that she does. Eventually, she gets cut off. 2-on-1 advantage. Heat on the young Victoria Yuzuki. Makes sense. You're going to have her sell. Who's the big hot tag to? Your ace of the company, your explosive wrestler, your champion, your number one person. In Utami Hayashishita, she comes in, she cleans house. Eventually, though, we get a big brawl all over the place that then gives Victoria Yuzuki her next big high spot. Because majority of this match leading up to going towards the finish was just her selling, which is fine. Just her taking heat. Her big high spot coming back is hitting that dive on top of everybody, which I thought was terrific. We get Yuzuki hits a basement dropkick, several judo throws to Chiaki. Chiaki comes back with the Iron Claw Slam, which I'm a big fan of. Shout out to the Von Erichs. Love that. Yuzuki's able to come back with the Joshi style dropkick into the German suplex of Utami Hayashishita. If you remember, Utami and Sai Kamatani did something similar to that. Again, don't tell me this is the new Aphrodite. Regardless, even if Rob says they're better than Aphrodite. German suplex to Chiaki, and then Yuzuki pins Chiaki after the cross-arm German suplex. We're seeing Victoria Yuzuki putting a lot of stuff together. Her first 6-7 months in wrestling, whenever she would win a match, it would be the rolling arrow, which is a great. Still have no idea how she never gets caught up in the ropes and the opponent always ends up somewhere in the middle of the ring. No idea how she does that. We always said she needs like that big finish. You know, she needs the hijack bomb. She needs like the pile driver, something like that. And she has a great moonsault. And now we've been seeing over the last 2 months, she's been winning a lot of matches with the cross-armed German suplex. Love it. She bridge, the way she builds up to it. The fact that Utami did the German suplex before, softening up the neck of Chiaki, only for Yuzuki to wind up getting another beautiful German suplex for a pin. I just went 4 stars as well. I like this almost as much as the previous match, and I think that this should have been the main event, and we'll get into that in a moment, my friend. But I thought this was great psychology. You know, the baby faces are fighting from underneath because of the heat and then the bending and almost the breaking of the rules of the heel tag team. 2-on-1 advantage to the young Victoria Yuzuki, only for Yuzuki to be able to come back with help from Utami to get the win. I love it. Great storytelling between all 4 of these ladies and all these 2 teams.
Moving on then to that main event, Nanae Tagashi and Seri Yamaoka in non-title action against Bozilla and Megaton. Matt, what did you think?
It was fine. Shouldn't have been the main event. The main event needs to be your big match. Even we've seen it in Stardom the last few weeks where it's like hate is going over in the main event, but it's a great match. This was an okay match, considering the fact of how good, especially the last 2 tag matches are. It's like, I get it. You want to showcase your tag champions, but maybe they should have flip-flopped it and showcased the tag challengers that happen to be 2 singles champions on the show to send everybody home happy. Because again, obviously the tag champs of Seri Yamaoka and Nanae Takahashi are great. Bozilla, she's terrific. Megaton, you know what she's getting. We know what we're getting into. She's the comedy. She's the stick. Not something you want to put on your main event. Again, it was a solid enough match. If it was match 3 or match 4, I think it would have been like, you know, it would have been passable. But you're putting this on as your main event, 12 minutes. It was a 3.25 star match, where it's just like the last 2 matches were 4 stars, easy. And then it's just like, oh, obviously, you know, the tag champs get the win here. I knew what I was going to get going into this, right? And it was fine. Obviously, Sari had some great stuff with Bozilla and Nanae. They've had a few matches before that were fantastic. We get glimpses of that, but ultimately just kind of some comedy with Seri Yamaoka doing the leg lace into the modified ankle lock to get the win. You're kind of like, I just saw 2 great tag matches back to back, like 2 phenomenal tag matches back to back, and then I get like just like a good match to end the show on. I wouldn't have ended the show on this one.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. And I think, you know, we've said before on the podcast, or I've said before, about how I like Megaton. I think she's great. And there's a live sort of, you know, getting live reactions. She's great. What she's not is a main event wrestler. And, you know, obviously, you've already said you know what you're getting with it. The stuff with Nanae and Bozilla, fantastic. You know, those 2 matches that those 2 had last year. Sorry, inhaled, were absolutely fantastic. And what having Megaton in this match did do was it allowed Seri Yamaoka to do 2 things. One, to display, you know, something we haven't seen in how she'd react to such an overly comedic and character-driven person. And also, it allowed her to be dominant over someone, because that's what she was. She was being pummeled from pillar to post by Bozilla, as so many people on the Marigold roster are. However, she was able to dominate Megaton. And I think that is a showcase for her. Do I think it should have been the main event? No. But again, you are teasing that sort of that unhappiness, let's say, between Bozilla and Megaton that was prevalent throughout until obviously the show on the 16th, which we'll get to shortly. But that did bring to an end the show from the 11th, and we moved swiftly on to Valentine's Day, where some of us had 2 dates, some of us had none. But we'll move on. We'll move on. It's fine.
I'm a romantic, buddy. It's in my heart. I have a big heart and bear blessings, buddy.
So some would call it selfish, but we go on. We move on. It's fine.
How dare you? How dare you try to take care? I try to take care of my beautiful bride. How dare you? So, which, by the way, I just want to make mention. I put over my wife all the time. The other day, Wednesday, I woke up an hour before normal because there was a bunch of fire trucks outside my house. So I guess there was the church across. Obviously, Robbie been in my house before. There was something going on with the church. I don't know what it was. I wound up leaving for work. About an hour or so later, they were still there, and Amber went and baked them muffins and gave them water and made them coffee. So yes, that girl deserves 2 Valentine's Day dates from me. And then she said she was leaving to go give the extra clothes that we had in the attic to the animal shelter. So yes, that girl deserves 2 dates. I just want to let you know.
Absolutely. Fair play, Amber. Fair play, Amber. However, we go on to Valentine's Day, the show on Valentine's Day from Sendai Pit. The announced attendance, by the way, 210 people. This is the 4th time Marigold have run the venue. It's broadly in line with the previous 2 times that they have run there. It's a marginal decrease. Nominal of just 2 people from their previous show on December 20th, which drew 212. The show before that drew 208. So an attendance of 210 is quite literally the average of the 3 shows. So again, broadly in line with what we expect at the moment. Just 5 matches on this card, as it was announced just before that Seri Yamaoka would not be present on this card due to illness. So the results: now Ishikawa defeated Ryoko Sakimura with a reverse crab in 6 minutes and 42 seconds. In a 3-way match, Ria Sato defeated Riara and Misa Matsui with a modified pinfall reversal in 7 minutes and 9 seconds. Tag team action: Bozilla and Megaton defeated Mirai and Natsumi Shozuki. Bozilla pinning Natsumi Shozuki with a sit-out powerbomb in 11 minutes and 12 seconds. A towering sit-out powerbomb, by the way. Natsumi Shozuki was very, very high off the ground. Semi-main event: Mai Sakurai and Miku Ano defeated the Dark Wolf army of Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki, with Miku Ano pinning Chiaki with the buzzsaw kick in 12 minutes and 46, finally putting an end to her dreadful run of pinfall-less results. And then in your main event, the tag team match of Utami Hayashishita and Victoria Yuzuki defeating Chika Goto and Minami Yuki. Utami Hayashishita getting the pinfall with a German suplex in 11 minutes and 12 seconds. So, Matt, looking at this opening match now, Ishikawa and Ryoko Sakimura, what were your opinions of this?
First, if you watch this on YouTube, I want to get over the opinion of the heart on now Ishikawa's shoulder. I think that's really cute. I think that's this graphic is done really well. 6 minutes, 42 seconds. Again, now Ishikawa is somebody. She's somebody too, kind of in the middle of the card that's improving, working her way up. Again, we said about how she's massively over. She's great in the ring. It's only a matter of time before she really, really catches fire. And again, Ryoko Satomura is somebody. She's in every show. She's constantly wrestling, constantly getting better. And this was just another prime example. Simple story to tell, really good kind of 50-50 back and forth match. But eventually, we do see just some blitzing forearms from now Ishikawa that's able to open up the Boston Crab and then going into the half crab for the tap out. Some really good selling, especially of the knee, especially of the back in those final moments from the rookie that is Ryoko Sakamura. I thought this was solid enough. Again, less than 7 minutes, enough time to tell your story, but not enough time to kind of expose your weakness. So really good there. 3.25 stars for me. A really good way to start this show. And of course, no one's going to say no to now Ishikawa getting a win on Valentine's Day to start out their Valentine's Day date.
Absolutely. And that's something actually that I did want to bring up is Ryoko Sakimura has always been very, very good with the emotional facials when it comes to selling. It's something that we picked up at the last Korakuen Hall show on the 19th of January, and it's something that was really evident here. It was also evident in the opening tag match of Korakuen Hall as well, when she was locked in some of those submissions by Rhea Sato. So, yeah, that's something that she has always been really good at. Moving on, we move on to the three-way Misa Matsui versus Rhea Sato versus Riara. It's at this point that we realize actually Misa Matsui is a fully fledged member of the Dark Wolf Army. One thing I will say, however, is that the music probably needs to change now, because it's not a very heelish song, Misa Matsui's. This was the match, by the way, where Riara absolutely demolished Rhea Sato with that double foot stomp. And I was like, oh, God, because she was out last year with a broken rib, wasn't she, in September? And I was like, oh, no, not again. But thankfully, she seemed to be all right. I was obviously on all these shows afterwards. I thought this was a solid three-way, worked really well. What about you?
Yeah, Rhea Sato and Riara, they start off with some technical wrestling. Misa Matsui kind of holds back a little to kind of just see, to kind of pick her spots like you would as a heel, or someone that's about to get your big heel turn in a three-way. Let the other two wrestlers, kind of wear themselves out and pick your spots. That's a heel thing that they would do. But yeah, there was something there in the match. I don't think that Rhea Sato, when she took that double stomp, she kind of rolled out to the corner and someone gave her a bag of ice. And it just seemed like that Misa Matsui and Riara kind of had to pick up the pieces from there. And they did a really good job. But eventually it was Rhea Sato with a cradle for the win on Riara. Again, 7 minutes and a three-way, not enough, too much time to tell your story, other than the fact of still planting those seeds of this, again, we eventually see in Korakuen Hall, the fully fledged heel turn from Misa Matsui. Solid enough, my friend, 3.25 stars. I thought Rhea Sato and Riara had some pretty good chemistry as opponents, but I think they're just better as a team, and hopefully that's what we're going to see, from here on out, because I think that's their proper spot in Marigold, at least right now, as a tag team, because I think as a team they're great.
Moving on then, Natsumi Shozuki and Mirai versus Bozilla and Megaton. And I must admit, this worked really well. And the reason this worked really well, A, because Mirai and Bozilla just beat each other up, which is great. But also, Natsumi Shozuki has a great facial expression for what, like, just this dismissive, like, this like dirt on her shoe look. It's brilliant. And there's a moment where Megaton goes for the Megaton press, and both Mirai and Natsumi Shozuki are lying on the floor, and she goes for the press, and they both sit up as Megaton hits the canvas. And the look of utter contempt and disgust on the face of Natsumi Shozuki was absolutely hilarious. Properly tickled me. She did pay for that look, because she got put through the absolute canvas by that powerbomb from Bozilla. But all in all, a solid tag team match, and it built up towards that number one contendership match with Mirai and Bozilla, angering Mirai to the point where she was flipping the bird to Bozilla.
Yeah, very not like Mirai, like very not Valentine's Day like, my friend. But I like this.
Not.
Again, I like this match better than the main event that Megaton and Bozilla were in the match before. Again, match number 3 out of 5. I think that's the perfect spot for it. Not only that, but I liked how Natsumi Shozuki and Mirai, two of the hardest hitters in this company, decide in the beginning to team up and waylay on poor Megaton. Like, really just waylaying, and not into Bozilla, not into, you know what I mean? It's like, let's team up and let's take out Megaton. Like, yeah, that's what we need to do. Eventually, though, Megaton tags out, and we get almost a little mini singles match with Bozilla and Mariah. These two, I mean, really go at it. Great stuff back and forth. Eventually, we get a tag into Natsumi Shozuki. She comes in, and she's so explosive with her offense. You know, she does great job mixing that high speed, that Superfly style into her strikes, and she does it really well. One spot in the match where Bozilla is really dominating. She goes for the Vader bomb. Mariah is able to almost like German suplex her while she's on the canvas, while Bozilla's on the second rope. Bozilla takes that big bump. She did it again in Korakuen, and that's a really, really cool spot because it's a really cool visual because you have Bozilla, your biggest, strongest badass in this company, and then Mariah is able to use her strength to take Bozilla off the top rope, and then Bozilla takes the big bump there. That opens up Natsumi Shozuki for a bunch of the kicks and the running Samato for 2 count. Eventually, though, Bozilla hits an F5 and then an insane Liger bomb for the finish. Excellent match. Perfect spot on the card for this match as well. 3 3/4 stars. Ultimately, really, really good stuff. But what it really does is just serve as, a ticket seller and a Wrestle Universe subscription match for more subscribers to watch Mirai and Bozilla in Korakuen Hall. The match that would take place in just a handful of days after this. Again, 3 3/4 stars. I thought it was terrific.
Speaking of terrific, that's what I thought of this match. Miko Ano, Mai Sakurai versus the Dark Wolf Army. Again, we had Misa Matsui being a very key part of this match. She was distracting the referee. She hit Miko Ano with a chair to take her off the top rope. But even more than that, it's the exchanges between Nagisa Nozaki and Miko Ano. Now, we saw them have a tremendous white belt match in Korakuen in 2024. And here we get a rekindling of that. There's the aggression from Mai Sakurai because Nagisa Nozaki comes to the ring with the briefcase that Chiaki stole full of 10 million yen. But it's that aggression between Miko Ano and Nagisa Nozaki, and it's something that they revisited at Korakuen Hall that I really enjoyed watching in this match. I actually think Miko Ano and Mai Sakurai are a very good team, and I think that stems from being very good opponents, as they were towards the end of 2024 and start of 2025. But again, this sort of tag match is, for my mind, what Marigold do really, really well with these sorts of wrestlers. And again, thoroughly enjoyed this one. It was a great little precursor for what we would see at Korakuen Hall.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Miko Ano and Mai Sakurai have great chemistry together as not only opponents but tagging as well. So what does that say about Mai Sakurai and Miko Ano? Because they're, Miko Ano's team with Natsumi Shozuki quite a bit, and they're great. Obviously, Mai Sakurai and Mirai, they were the first twin star tag team champions. So that just goes to show you how well they can adapt and how truly gifted they are in pro wrestling, that they're great singles wrestlers and great tag wrestlers. Not only great tag wrestler with one partner, but another partner as well, which is really just goes to show you how special Miko Ano and Mai Sakurai are, because they were terrific here. Obviously, I'm huge fans of Mai Sakurai, huge fans of Miko Ano. We got to start getting the Dark Wolf Army some wins here because they're losing to makeshift teams. Basically, they're the only team that has really kind of been a team almost from day one. I think now that we have this Darkness Revolution Army, I think we're going to start seeing them getting some wins here. But they lost on the show that we just reviewed. They lost here. You got to start getting them some wins. And again, they're the first faction now in Marigold. That is going to be a really good trivia question, Rob, is who is the first faction in Marigold history? And here it is right there. Now we know it. And it's here, and I think they just got to start getting them some wins, and maybe you have them become the first ever 2-time Twin Star Tag Team Champions, and then give them the proper run that I think that they rightfully earned. Again, another story for another day, but I thought the match was great. You get the Wild Brawl to start. We got heat on the United National Champion, on Mai Sakurai. So really good having your, in a kayfabe world, your second best wrestler in this company really show vulnerability and putting over your 2 heels here. Hot tag to Miko Ano. She's terrific. Just comes in with the kicks, the strikes, those lariats. Again, Miko Ano seems like she's 5'5", like 130 pounds. But when she throws that lariat, she may as well be 6'6", 280. Because, she throws those lariats just the way she does the Rainmaker, the running lariat. We've seen the lariat off she has with Utami Hayashishita. Even though we didn't get any Utami versus Miko Ano teases on these shows we're going to review, I'm just going to say it right now. However, Rob, I'm going to say it right now. We love those lariat offs between the two, and they make sense, even though Utami's the bigger, stronger one. Obviously what I'm putting over here is just how explosive Miko Ano is, and you believe those strikes because she's such a hard hitter. And obviously we know her background. She trains quite a bit at the K1 kickboxing dojo. I thought she was great. And the one big negative I got to say in this match, chair shot. Not a big fan of chair shot. Obviously, we'll get into the one that happened on Chika Goto in Korakuen Hall. that I really kind of,
Yeah.
I really gritted my teeth with. Eventually, though, Miko Ano was able to come back, hits the Goodwin elbow drop and a sliding lariat. And then Miko Ano hits another lariat and a buzzsaw kick for the finish. 12 minutes, 46 seconds, as you said, my friend. This was terrific. My second favorite match from the show. 4 stars for me. Really, really great stuff.
Yeah, obviously these chairs are rigged, and you could tell that from the Korakuen Hall one, the way that it sort of collapsed. But yeah, it's still an uncomfortable watch. We'll talk a little bit more about that during the Korakuen Hall match. But our main event, Utami and Victoria Yuzuki picking up another victory over Chika Goto and Minami Yuki. And again, this match sort of goes to show reinforce everything I was saying on the previous show about the improvements in both these two women, but Chika Goto in particular. But again, Minami Yuki has had these exchanges with Utami Hayashishita before. She's been in 6-woman tag main events with her. She's been in 6-woman tag main events against her as well. And I think she's someone that is very suited to that position. I think she's very good as an underdog babyface. Again, I'm enjoying being on the journey of development for both these wrestlers, and it's great to see that chemistry between Utami and Victoria Yuzuki as the new Aphrodite. Really good to see them. Really good to see them sort of developing this tag team style and tag team offense as well.
You know, Rob, the one thing we don't do enough on this podcast is praise Utami Hayashishita. So I'm going to spend the next minute or two praising one Utami Hayashishita.
It's only fair.
I think so. Obviously, if you remember the first 2 months of Marigold, she had like 1 win, 3 or 4 losses. Remember, we were like, she's being buried. But no, in all seriousness, obviously, I want to praise Utami Hayashishita because I don't know. And I watched Marigold, Sendai Girls, a little bit of Tokyo Joshi Pro, obviously Stardom, AEW, WWE. I don't know New Japan. I don't know if there's another wrestler in the world that does what Utami does as far as taking wrestlers in the middle of the card or lower on the card and making them look like they belong with Utami Hayashishita. That is an absolute art form. And ultimately what that does, it just makes your match stronger and makes your company stronger. And that's what she does here. Obviously, Chika Goto, Minami Yuki, there are 2 wrestlers that are on the middle of the card. And even with Minami Yuki, maybe even a little bit lower, like basically opening match person. She makes them look like they belong, that they can hang with the champion, with one of the best wrestlers in the world, the Utami Hayashishita. And that's an art form. That is an art form. And again, Utami Hayashishita is somebody that even when she eats a loss, she knows how to lose to make sure she stays strong. Again, that's an art form in its own. And she's just absolutely fantastic. And again, I talked about how young, obviously, Chika Goto and Minami Yuki are in their career. Victoria Yuzuki as well. She's only been wrestling like a year and a half. You wouldn't know that in this match because she comes off as an absolute star, not only in the ring, but her entrance as well. She's really finding that aura that you can't teach. And the fact that you have Utami coming out with that, because Utami is all the aura, one of the best aura wrestlers in Joshi over the last, ever since her debut back in 2018. So it's just like you have that, and it's kind of almost rubbing off on you as you're, coming out of the entranceway. Is that just adding to the package that is Victoria Yuzuki, not to be confused, Rob Gooden, with the Passion package. But again, really great stuff. I think Chika Goto here was terrific here with Minami Yuki. Again, Utami and Victoria Yuzuki, their tag work is just absolutely excellent. Second to none other than Aphrodite. But ultimately, though, I like how they do that drop kick into the German suplex.
It is
really,
good.
Really excellent stuff here with Victoria Yuzuki. Again, I'm all about Victoria Yuzuki winning matches with that cross-arm German suplex. I think that's terrific, especially when the fact you have Utami as the hammer getting towards the end of that match, softening up the neck, softening up the back of the opponent that they're going to do it with. And then eventually it's Victoria Yuzuki putting the final nail in the coffin of said match in this match with that straight jacket German suplex. My favorite match of the show, Utami and Victoria Yuzuki are absolutely humming as a tag team. 4.25 stars for me. Again, I just think that they're fantastic as a tag team. Really, really good. Not as good as Aphrodite, but still really, really good.
That's a matter of opinion. No, I'm joking. Something that will be very interesting is once Kazuna Tanaka returns, because we saw her at ringside. She was seconding during the Korakuen Hall show, as was Nagisa Takemana as well. And we obviously had Koki Amare on Japanese commentary. So it was great to see those people back around, in and around the ring. You've said about how Utami has said she's found her new tag partner. You've obviously said about how well they are gelling as a tag team. What happens when Kazuna Tanaka comes back? Because Celine Flora were great. They really were. And in my mind, easily were one of the teams that should have been holding those Twin Star Championships in the next year, 18 months. But now you've got this team between Utami and Victoria Yuzuki. What happens? What do you do when Kazuna Tanaka comes back? Do you split up this team? I mean, they have lost now for the Twin Star titles. They've got their own singles titles to be defending. It's an interesting conversation.
Easy answer. You're already starting to build factions. You have your heel faction.
Ooh.
You build your faction. You have to remember, and again, this is 100% my Queen's Quest bias. Utami, Momo Watanabe, Azumi, Saya Kamatani. When you had those four together, even Utami, Kamatani, and Azumi, you can mix them up in certain tag teams. Obviously, the main tag team was Aphrodite, Utami, and Saya, but we've seen Saya and Azumi. We've seen Azumi and Utami. You can do that here. You can absolutely do that there when the time's right. Does Utami become the belt collector like she did in 2018, 2019 for Stardom? Or do you just have her do her singles run and then we do Celine Flora? What I would do is, now that we're starting to see factions, especially the first faction is a heel tag team with a whole bunch of badasses, that when Kazuna Tanaka comes back, absolutely, why would I break it? Why can't you have two tag teams? We see it all the time in Stardom with eye contact. And then obviously Han's part of Wingori, and then Mayu's part of with Momo Kogo as far as with Peach Rock. Why not have one or two tag teams? Why not have your cake and eat it too? They're all baby faces. We're all going to be chasing the heel faction. So I think that's the way you go about it, is absolutely, let's team up. Who wouldn't want to see, Rob, in a big main event at a KBS Hall, Utami, Victoria Yuzuki, and Kazuna Tanaka taking on Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Bozilla, or Misa Matsui, or throw any one of them in there? That'd be a great match. Let them go 20-some-odd minutes. Tear the house down. Why not? Put them in a faction. I'm sure they'll give them a cool name, because that's what Japanese do. They always give things cool names. So it's like, that would be my answer for it. It's like, do you break them up? No, keep them together. But you can have, why not have your cake and eat it too? It's, it's pro wrestling. You can make it to be anything you want. Again, not everything has to be Utami versus Sari. Every now and again, Rob, you need to have Megaton versus Gigaton, or whatever that match was. And it's fun.
The greatest match in Korakuen,
honestly.
It's
fun. And it was a fun
ironically
match.
Loved that match.
Yeah, it was a fun match.
I do see where you're coming from with that, and I think there is certainly legs to that. I think if you were to have Utami Hayashishita, Victoria Yuzuki, and Kazuna Tanaka, you could even add Koki Amare in there once she returns from injury, because then you have got two established tag teams in Marigold, and you can call them something like, I don't know, King's Voyage, or something like that.
I like that.
Definitely not a rip-off of Queen's Quest.
No,
definitely not.
Flag. But they already came out in the mat. They already came out in the mask. They came out in the mask in Cork. And real quick before I apologize, but I don't mean to cut you off. One more point I want to make. No. How much more do you think Kazuna Tanaka is going to grow, and how fast is she going to grow being in the same ring night in, night out, or the same faction with Utami Hayashishita? She caught on so fast, so quick. I mean, when you are the daughter of Minoru Tanaka, that obviously you're gonna have a great pedigree, but you're gonna put me in the same faction with Utami Hayashishita. And obviously Utami, even if she's not in the match, she's gonna want her to get better, because that's her faction, and she want her faction to look the absolute best. So that's just the one point I forgot making. But continue, sir, as we go to King's Voyage. AV.
I can't think of a better faction name than King's Voyage. You've got Utami Hayashishita as your leader. You've got Koki Amare as your Saya Kamatani. You've got Victoria Yuzuki as your Azumi. And no, would Victoria Yuzuki be Momo then?
because of the she would be the Izumi because of the high speed. So that's the way I would say it. So I
and
would
then
have
Kazuna Tanaka would be Momo Watanabe. I don't know if that comparison quite works, but
Lady
even
C.
so, Lady, love Lady C. Yeah, I like aside from the King's Voyage name, I think that's a legitimate faction. You know, obviously, what you don't want is to create a super faction where you've got like Utami, Miko Aono, Natsumi Shozuki, and Mirai and Mai Sakurai. Don't get me wrong, that's a badass faction, but it also leaves, you know, all of your quote unquote lower mid carders with no factions, and it sort of, you know, it becomes more difficult for them. I do think there you've got a decent amount of sort of scope between main eventers and lower mid card wrestlers. You've got people that can eat pinfalls. We've seen Koki Amare eat pinfalls. We've seen Victoria Yuzuki eat pinfalls. We've seen Kazuna Tanaka eat pinfalls. And again, I think you're absolutely right. I think someone like a Kazuna Tanaka will certainly improve by being in that sort of company. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. Whether Marigold will delve into faction-based warfare, you know, like we've seen with New Japan, like we've seen with Stardom, or whether they will just have the odd faction, like more like Pro Wrestling Noah, I don't know. You know, we are sort of assuming, but it would make sense to at least have sort of a face faction to face off with the heel faction. But again, we will see. Moving on to night 10 of the New Year Golden Garden, then the 16th of February, which was Sunday. This aired from Hodogaya City Public Hall with an attendance of 225 people. The second time Marigold have run the venue, with the announced attendance of 225 being a 28.7% increase on the last time they ran the venue when they drew 175 people on the 7th of November 2024. So a big increase in terms of attendance. And those in attendance, I think you'll agree, Matt, would not have been disappointed with this show, because this was a real good show, a real underrated show in terms of Marigold's calendar. So again, a lot of the premise of this show was your challenge matches, where you've got your more experienced wrestlers taking on your less experienced wrestlers or your rookies. And again, this card had to be changed because of Naho Yamada's injury. Seri Yamaoka was back, though, when she was in the semi-main event in a cracking three-way, which we'll be talking about very shortly. But in terms of the results, they are as follows. We opened with 6 straight challenge matches. I thought there was only 5. Natsumi Shozuki defeated Riara with a buzzsaw kick in 5 minutes and 55 seconds. Miko Aono defeated Minami Yuki with a double arm suplex in 8 minutes and 59 seconds. Mai Sakurai submitted Ryoko Sakamura. Oh, no, she didn't. Sorry. She defeated Ryoko Sakamura with the STO, not the STF. Misread it. 8 minutes and 3 seconds. Utami Hayashishita defeated now Ishikawa with a German suplex in 7 minutes and 36 seconds. Blindingly good singles match that was, especially considering it only got 7.5 minutes. I thought that was brilliant. Nanae Takahashi defeated Rhea Sato with a backdrop in 12 minutes and 12 seconds. Another great match. And again, subtle change in Rhea Sato, which I'm excited to talk about. Mirai versus Chika Goto. Mirai defeating Chika Goto with the modified stretch muffler in 10 minutes and 55 seconds. Again, a great match there. 3-way match, Victoria Yuzuki versus Seri Yamaoka versus Misa Matsui. That ended in a time limit draw of 15 minutes. And then in your main event, tag team action, Bozilla and Megaton versus the Dark Wolf Army, Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki, ended in a double countout in 9 minutes and 18 seconds. We do need to start calling her main event Megaton. But obviously, this was... even though this only went 9 minutes and 18 seconds, this made sense to be the main event when you consider the angle that they were building towards, which was, of course, everyone reconciling Bozilla, Megaton, Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and then Misa Matsui, all to come together to become the Darkness Revolution. So, again, yes, in ring, not the best match on the card, not by a long shot when you consider Utami and now Ishikawa. but it's one I feel that was necessary for the formation of that faction, Matt.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have no problem with it because it's all about the angle. Everybody you look at, and I'm going to compare it to the formation of the NWO. No one really remembers that match. They really and it was a solid enough match. I mean, look who's in the match, but everybody remembers the angle afterwards, with the Hogan coming in, the formation of the NWO. But that's what it's all about. That's a pay-per-view that ended with the non-finish because the angle is so much bigger. My only little problem with it is the match before went to a time limit draw. So you had two non-finishes back to back on what was a really solid show. I would have maybe done these three matches of this these series matches, these challenge matches, and then put the three-way in there, and then do the time limit draw, and then maybe have Mirai, Chika, Goto, or Utami, and now Ishikawa be the lead into this match because both those matches were great. Both those matches were hot. Again, the three-way was really good. We'll get into it. But like when you have a time limit draw, the fans are kind of like, oh, time limit draw. And then you go to a double count out and you get the big heel faction. So at least this way, if you get a hot match with a hot finish, which again we're getting into with Utami and now Ishikawa was a hot finish, Mirai and Chika Goto was a really, really hot and violent finish. You kind of have the crowd a little bit high. They're high, they're pumped, they're ready to go for this main event. What you do with the angle? That's my only little nitpick. I wouldn't have done two non-finishes back to back to close out this show. But again, I totally agree that the non-finish of the main event needed to close out the show because it was all about the angle of the new NWO, Rob Goodwin, of the new NWO.
I mean, people do often call Megaton the Hulk Hogan of Marigold. I mean, the comparisons are there. I mean, just, again, in the main event Megaton.
Brother.
Moving on then, let's have a look at these challenge matches then. Natsumi Shozuki and Riara was really good for what it was. 5 minutes and 55 seconds. Wasn't given a tremendous amount of time, but we knew what we were going to get from these two. We've already said about Riara being a really solid hand that you can insert into any sort of picture, and she does a really good job. Natsumi Shozuki, again, is the glue of almost every match that she's in. I can't wait to see her elevated to that white belt picture, to that red belt picture, even if it's just as a challenger. I'm really looking forward to that sort of place, and I can't wait for, hopefully, fingers crossed, that, for that Miko Ano and Natsumi Shozuki Twin Star title challenge. Maybe that's coming. I don't know. But yeah, this, for what it was, Matt, this was good.
Yeah, it was okay. I thought that these two have a better match in them. Riara, she's been really good again. Natsumi Shozuki, somebody that is just, again, a year ago we'd never seen a match from her before, and that's just because our ignorance. Obviously, she's fantastic and one of our favorite wrestlers that we didn't know before in Marigold. She's terrific. To me, this, especially towards the end of the match, it just seemed like it just didn't gel, and they decided let's just take it home. I gave the gentleman 3 stars. I think they have a better match in them. Again, Natsumi Shozuki is one of my favorite wrestlers, not just in Marigold, but in all of wrestling. And Riara, who I've only seen her matches in Marigold, I think she's terrific. It just didn't seem like it was their night. By any means, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as I thought it could have been. I just gave it the gentleman's 3 stars.
Yeah, there was a bit of miscommunication when it came to, I think Riara was trying something with the legs. I don't know if she was going for a leg lock, and Natsumi Shozuki thought it was a figure 4 leg lock. But again, it is what it is. For 5.5 minutes, I think it was fine. It did its job. It did what it needed to do. We moved on to Miko Ano and Minami Yuki next. Matt, I thought this was a lot more solid. And given the time it was needed to be given, I think that Minami Yuki again showed out for this match with Miko Ano.
Yeah, 9 minutes, plenty of time to tell their story. I like how Miko Ano is using the headlock to grind down Minami Yuki. But what does Minami Yuki like to use? She likes to get the wrist control for the hammerlock. So she's using the headlock, and eventually Minami Yuki's like, I'm just going to pull your grip, your S grip, your Gable grip off. And when I do, guess what I have? Exactly what I use for my bread and butter. Easy for me to say, to my offense. I really enjoy that. It was something so simple. It's like grind on the headlock. I'm like, guess what? You're giving me what I need anyway. Boom, now I have it. She goes into the hammerlock. She goes into the guillotine. She does the swing on the Miko Ano. Miko Ano does a great job selling for Minami Yuki here. really you're getting her over. Eventually, though, it's just all those quick strikes, those brutal strikes from the first ever United National Champion, and she puts her away with the double underhook suplex. Solid enough match. Again, Manami Yuki's another one, like Aria Sato, that you see just improving show in, show out, and this is the best way for her to improve wrestling main eventers like Miko Ano here. I had this at 3.5 stars.
Mai Sakurai then in a match with Ryoko Sakimura, finishing her off with that STO. Again, Matt, another really good performance from the rookie. What were your thoughts in terms of this one?
Again, how were you going to get better? Work the wrestlers that are better than you. Mai Sakurai, she's fantastic. She's come so far so quick in the last 2 years and doing a great job elevating the United National Champion. Since she's only the second champion, but she's doing a great job elevating that to it's a belt that you can main event Korakuen Hall and draw your 700 to 800 people. Ryoko Satomura, again, is another one she's steadily going to be improving. And why is that? She's getting reps. Who should be getting reps with? The best wrestlers in this company that are really, really damn good. Excellent stuff here. Great back and forth. And I like how we're establishing another finish for Mai Sakurai. And Sonny and Stu did a great job on commentary for the Korakuen show, putting over the STO, which I think they called the STK. I think that they kept calling it because I think they were driving it home that she's calling it the STK because I kept writing it on my notes. And then when I would look back at my notes, I thought I wanted to have steak. STK. See, I was like, yeah, I really go for a steak or a burger. But again, excellent stuff here, and I like how she uses the shining black to the step up Yakuza kick again, Masachono move to set up for the STK or the STO. And again, I think it was the STK. Maybe I just wanted steak, but regardless, solid enough match, 3.5 stars. And like I said, you have a lot of main eventers in this company and a lot of rookies. And this is the only way and the best way that they're going to get better is keep hammering home wrestling people that are on top of the card. And this was a prime example.
Completely agree. And it felt like these 3 matches would ultimately lead into these other 3 matches, which sort of seemed to be almost a level above. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way by any stretch of the imagination, but I think when you look at Utami versus now Ishikawa, which we're going to talk about now, Nanae versus Ryo Sato, and Mirai versus Chika Goto, all 3 matches were given more time. And I feel like the rookie or the less experienced wrestler on the other side were given a lot more. And I feel we're given a lot more in terms of offense, in terms of time to shine, in terms of, the chance to emote and things like that. And nowhere is that more clear, I feel, than in this match, where now Ishikawa had a fantastic performance in the face of a very put out Utami Hayashi. And before we get into the match, I just wanted to ask your opinion, because we had Utami sort of call out the fact that she wanted to see more aggression from Nao Ishikawa. We saw Mirai take to the microphone after she beat Chika Goto and was sort of shedding tears of frustration at the fact that Marigold isn't where it needs to be at this point. We had, obviously, Nanae Takahashi telling Ryo Sato that if she wanted to change, there's only her that can do it. It seems that we have a little bit of tough love from the main eventers in terms of these less experienced wrestlers. How do you feel like in terms of that being put across? How do you feel about that? And do you feel like it's going somewhere?
First of all, this again, if you're watching YouTube, look at this match graphic. These two are side-eyeing each other. Pretty good, Rob. Pretty good. This is really
good.
cool. Really cool. You do good. You do such a great job with these, my friend. Just making us, when we talk about these matches on YouTube, seem so much more important. But to answer your question, this was Nao Ishikawa's best performance. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, this is gonna be a visual. So say Nao Ishikawa, her average performance is here. And then this performance, because she's wrestling the best wrestler in this company and arguably the best wrestler in the world, regardless of gender or country, she brings her performance up to here. Utami, who is very unselfish, and I say it all the time, I just said a little bit ago, she does a great job taking the mid-carders and bringing them up. So again, if she's kind of in the middle here of performances and she brings it up just a little, Utami takes it and brings it up here. If you have never seen Marigold before and you watch this match, you think that both these wrestlers are main eventers. because now Ishikawa, and something that we always sing her praises. One thing we failed to mention is she does have that aura about her as well. Like she really does. She does. She doesn't have like a Utami or a Mai Sakurai or a Miko Ano, but she has the aura as well, or Mirai. She does have her own little way of aura there. And the one thing I like that she does, and maybe this is me because I'm a massive fan of streamers, when they announce her name, she makes it like she throws the streamers invisible and walks into it and bows. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one that sees that. If you people notice it as well, but let me know. But it seems like she comes in, throws the imaginary streamers, and then bows. I'm like, hey, I'm all for that. I think that's something really cool because I've never seen any other wrestler ever do that. And I've been watching Japanese wrestling, on a permanent basis since 1996. I just think that's really cool. I thought this was terrific because I was like, okay, this is a challenge series. We're going to see the younger wrestlers, the mid-carders, really step up their game into the main eventers. And they did that in the first 3 matches. And it happens here again. Now Ishikawa is going to bring a fight. And Utami Hayashishita is only going to make now Ishikawa better. This is Utami Hayashishita's company. I know it's Horacio Gala's company, folks, but bear with me. This is her company, right? Even if she loses the red belt against Bozilla, which I don't think is going to happen, this is still her company. She is the ace of this company. She's going to be taking a matter of pride. It's like, look, everybody needs to step up, and I'm going to help you step up. That's exactly what happens here. You talked about Utami saying Marigold it's not where it needs to be right now. Everybody needs to step up. Guess what happened? Now Ishikawa stepped up, and when she did, Utami even brought her up to her level, to the point where if they run this back in 2 or 3 months for the red belt, it's a believability that now has a shot at beating Utami. We might be like, it's probably not going to happen. It's pro wrestling, so anything can happen. But at the same time, Utami Hayashishita is going to go out of her way to make sure everyone knows who now Ishikawa is. And that is a very unselfish wrestler. And this is a selfish pro wrestling business. And Utami Hayashishita is so giving in what she gives to everybody in the ring. And not just what she would give like a Miko Ano or Mirai or Nanae Takahashi, but what she does, especially in this match. You watch this match and like, we love now Ishikawa. Because she's such a baby face, and it's just like, remind again for your ECW fans, it reminds you of Mikey Whipwreck, just the fighting spirit, just will never die, will never go away, and she's just so endearing. And she brings it to Utami, and Utami just brings her up to her level. That is the definition of an absolute professional. Again, I don't know any other wrestler in all of wrestling that does it any better than Utami Hayashishita. There was some points in this match. Again, this was a challenge series. So you figured, okay, like there might be 1 or 2 that slips by the main eventers. There's a couple times that not only me, but everybody in this building thought that now was going to get the win here.
There was a couple of really good close falls that they did.
And that's a credit to Naoya Ishikawa. That is a credit to Utami kicking out at 2.999999, and a credit to the referee. And I say it all the time. A great referee can make a match so much better because you're building out the drama. You're building out the drama in said match. And that's exactly what all 3 of them did here. Again, this isn't just you can use the referee to make the match so much better. And that's what they did here. Ultimately, I mean, the match starts out with a big lockup. Robin, I'm in. It's like, okay, now let's go. You got the big lockup. Absolutely. Again, now just really great stuff back and forth. Utami's just blitzing with the forearms, with the clotheslines, with the air raid crash, and cannot keep now Ishikawa down. Now almost steals one a few times. Eventually, though, Utami Hayashishita hits the torture rack into the German suplex. The fact that this only went 7.5 minutes, I thought it went longer because so many different stories were told. And the fact that when you just said 7 minutes, 36 seconds, I was like, it seemed like there were so many stories and so many things they got across in less than 8 minutes. That is an art form of pro wrestling, a true art form. 4.25 stars for me. And again, this match was so good that if they build now Ishikawa up and give her a red belt match in Korakuen Hall, I'm like, I don't think she's gonna win, but that's a match I would like to watch live because the Korakuen Hall crowd loves some now Ishikawa, and Utami Hayashishita is gonna elevate her to another level. Again, I'm telling you folks, this is a selfish business. Utami Hayashishita is one of one. She really is. What she was able to do here, she does it all the time, and all the tag we talk about all the time. But what she did here for now Ishikawa is somebody that you can look at and say, you mentioned it about an hour ago when we first started recording, partner. Give her a little bit of a push and give her a white belt match against Mai Sakurai. Give her a red belt match with Utami Hayashishita. Utami Hayashishita showed everybody here She can belong here. She can belong here. And again, I gave a lot of credit to Utami Hayashishita, and rightfully so. But again, now Ishikawa, she really, really busted her ass to be able to hang with Utami. And Utami just took her up to the next level. Again, great stuff. 4.25 stars for me.
Moving on to Nanae and Rhea Sato. This was another really, really good performance. Nanae obviously is used to doing these sorts of things with her Passion Injection series, and this is what this felt like here. Rhea Sato was determined to try and fight back in the face of a very dominant Nanae Takahashi. And I think what's very telling is that Rhea Sato was very vocal about the fact that she didn't just want to be known as the wrestler that likes JoJo, which is where the poses, pardon me, come from, pre-match. She doesn't just want to be known as that. She wants to be known as a great pro wrestler on her own back. And this is something she said after the match, and something that Nanae said, well, that's something only you can change. I think she gave a good performance again here. I don't think anyone for a moment thought she was going to turn over Nanae Takahashi, especially on Nanae Takahashi's retirement road. But I think the entire premise of the challenge matches is more about performance than it is about results. And I think Rhea Sato did a good job of this. Even responded to a couple of those Nanae slaps with a little bit of passion, which, again, I'm sure Nanae loved.
I like Nanae's quote there. Like, I want to be known as this. Well, only you can change that. How many times we hear, oh, I want to get promoted. Only you can change that. Oh, I want to have a 6-pack of abs. Only you can change it. You can't just wish for it. And part of my language, bitch and complain about it. If you want to get in head life, only you can change it. I've said this to you off air and on air before. The only person that's stopping you from chasing your dreams is you, is that person that you're looking back in the mirror. I've told that to you before in a text message. Yeah, I pumped you up, buddy. You're on book number 9. You're like, I don't know. And I'm like, no, dude, do it. The only one's going to stop you is you. I'm telling you. So I really, really like that. I think this was a really good match. Solid enough. I wish that maybe Nanae would have gained Rhea Sato a little bit more. And maybe that might have been on Rhea Sato, because I've seen matches and I've been in matches early in my career where the vet is like, no, I want you to fight back because I want to see what kind of fighting spirit you have here. And maybe Rhea Sato needed to fight back a little more. That I don't know, but that was just my little nitpick about the match. But yeah, Nanae properly lays waste to Rhea Sato in this match, and Rhea Sato keeps coming back, with some decent shots. Again, her forearms and slaps that Nanae was throwing. Rhea Sato was returning the fire, but nowhere near with as much vigor as one Nanae Takahashi. That might be one that Utami and Mirai might have to take Rhea Sato aside in the Marigold Dojo and show her how to throw strikes just a little bit tighter, especially when you're in the ring with a bulldozer and hard hitter that is the legend in Nanae Takahashi. Really good stuff, and I like the fact that she won with this wicked backdrop, and the fact that Rhea Sato gets a 12-minute singles match. We don't see that often. We don't see her getting many singles matches. If she's in singles match, just like open her the card, 5-6 minutes. But we were able to see that she does have a gas tank on her, because this was like a nonstop fight. Really, really was. 3 3/4 stars for me, my friend.
Yeah, we sort of praised Rhea Sato for her submission game, which I think she's improved quite a lot on, especially the transitions into those submission maneuvers. But yeah, I think her striking game is definitely an area where she could improve, especially when she is against someone who is so significantly more powerful than she is. So that's something that certainly they can work on together. Moving on, we have another tremendous match, probably just my second favorite match of the show, just behind Utami and now Ishikawa. Mirai and Chika Goto. I mean, you talk about fighting spirit, you want to see what sort of fighting spirit you've got. Take a look at Chika Goto, who is locked in this submission, screaming in pain, nose bloodied. That's fighting spirit right there. And yes, Mirai at the end of this might have said Marigold's not where I want it to be, or not where I want it to be yet. And that probably is a dig at, whether it's kayfabe or not, whatever. But, that is a dig at, the wrestlers lower on the card. And I feel like this challenge series, we talk about performances. Chika Goto is someone who gave everything in this match. And I think, one of her best performances in a Marigold ring.
I'm going to agree with you. I think it's her best performance in the Marigold ring, and she's going to have better matches. That's the thing, because it's like, okay, she kind of broke through that first ceiling, and it's basically the sky's the limit for her. And this was a great match. And again, give credit to Mirai pulling Chika Goto up to that main event level. And I was going to ask you, what match did you like better between Utami and Naomi Ishikawa, or this one? And you answered my question without me even asking the question. And I agree. I think Utami and Naomi Ishikawa, I gave both matches 4.25 stars. So they're equally as good, but I like the Utami and Naomi Ishikawa match better. But this had the best visual. This had a visual we are going to remember for a long, long time, with Chika Goto covered in blood, nose get busted open, hard way, obviously. Looks like her lip was split open as well. Mai Sakurai has her in the double armbar, and she won't tap out, to the point where Mirai has to then grab her ankle and then do almost like a modified knee bar. And then she has to do a verbal submission because she can't tap out, because Mirai has both of her arms in like a double chicken wing, which is just
tap out. I want to.
I can't. My arms. I have no arms. But I like how this match starts. Again, Chika Goto is so aggressive. The bell rings, big boot. Like, she shakes her hand, big boot, and just Chika Go very much like the Kokiyamare versus Mirai match at the Dream Star, where it was just like the only move that Kokiyamare was using was that big boot.
It was great.
Chika Goto must have been watching that match and be like, "Oh, this is what my tag partner did. That's what I'm going to do." Hey, copy an A, get an A, because this match was an A, very much like Koki and Mirai at the Dream Star last year was an A. But great stuff back and forth, with the big boot and the chops and then the lariats and the forearms. And then eventually Chika Goto is able to get the giant swing onto Mirai. I liked how Mirai finally starts building up momentum, because Chika Goto hits a few boots right off the bat. She starts finally building up momentum. Chika Goto, in a veteran move, is like, let me go to something that's going to break up the momentum. Oh, the giant swing. I really like that. I thought that was great stuff there. Chika Goto is able to hit a lariat and then a choke slam for a 2 count. Mirai blocks that pump handle slam that Chika Goto has been using for a finish. And I like that. Like, the Mirai's like, I'm getting battered with things back to back here. And again, Chika Goto is chaining her big moves back to back to back. I really like that. She goes for that big finish. Eventually, Mirai blocks. She puts Chika Goto in a rear naked choke, and then she winds up firing off a couple shots. I think that's where Chika Goto's nose gets busted open. And then we see a lariat, Mir Mirai shock, double armbar into a stretch muffler for the verbal tap out. And again, it looked like Chika Goto's trying to chain her big moves together with the big boot, with the choke slam. And then she tries for the pump handle slam. Mirai stops it, only for Mirai to chain her big moves back together. The forearm, the lariat, Mir Mirai shock, and 19 submissions all in one hold. Really great stuff. 4.25 stars. And again, Chika Goto is somebody that I can buy maybe as Mai Sakurai's next challenger for that United National Championship. She's somebody that maybe in 3 or 4 months at a Korakuen Hall or a Shinkiba First Ring, I can buy as maybe a challenger for Utami Hayashista's red belt, Crimson Red Belt. Again, what Marigold has done on these shows is they've established, and we've been saying it for months now, they need to establish somebody outside of Utami, outside of Mirai, outside of Mai Sakurai, ever since Sari left. So, and that's what they've done here. They have taken mid-card wrestlers and made them main eventers. And the fact that we're going to be getting Kokiyamare back here, and hopefully in about 3 months' time, is just going to add to that. And the fact that we took Misa Matsui, which we'll get into, and we gave her this crazy, crazy, awesome persona, and we're buying her as a main eventer. This is exactly what we've been saying the last 5 or 6 months on this podcast Marigold needs to do, because the wrestling's great. Even the rookies that are making mistakes and are going to make mistakes, because that's what happens. Like, they're coming along greatly. We mentioned Ryoko Satomura. She's coming along terrific. Naho Yamada, I can't wait for her to come back. But again, what they're doing with the other wrestlers right now, the booking makes sense, and we're building everybody up. Everybody now just about has something to do, and we're taking the upper mid-carders and making their main eventers. We're taking somebody that is so over now, Ishikawa, and now we can probably make her a time-to-time main eventer. We're taking Vittoria Zuki, who we keep forgetting, Rob, has only been wrestling 1.5 years, is one of the best wrestlers on this company, main eventer. I mean, who wouldn't want to see? Obviously, we have a big match coming with Vittoria Zuki. Who wouldn't want to see Vittoria Zuki versus Mai Sakurai? Want to see? We've seen it in Queen's Quest. Who wouldn't want to see it in King's Voyage Victoria Yuzuki challenge. We've seen Kamatani versus Utami. We've seen Momo versus Utami in Queen's Quest before. We've seen it with Donald Del Mondo, with Shuri and Julia. Why not see Victoria Yuzuki versus Utami? As far as King's Voyage, the KV, who wouldn't want to see that? Who wouldn't want to see that, Rob, with an extra helping of bear blessings?
Absolutely. Always with the bear blessings. Always. It was interesting what you just said about how, even the wrestling, even the rookies are doing well because they are constantly improving, constantly developing. And that's why, it talks about the opening match and how, the closing stretch was a little bit off. That's why I'm willing to let that go. Because, there is a clear development there, a clear attempt at trying stuff that's new. So I'm willing to let that slide. This here, like even in Chika Goto's offense, there was less of a reliance on things like the hip attacks and stuff like that. And it was more on sort of matching the strikes of Mirai instead. And I think that offered an air of legitimacy to Chika Goto's offense as well, which is always, because if you're having this sort of match, as you mentioned before, the Koki Amare and Mirai match from, I believe it was Sendai Pit from the Dream Star, you have that sort of match. That's a really difficult match to then start throwing hip attacks and stuff like that in, because I feel like the hip attack is, I don't know, I view it as not a very aggressive move. And
it's a setup move. Look how Tony. Nobody does it better than Tony Storm from a psychology aspect, but it's a setup move.
Yeah, exactly. I don't view it in the same, and Chika Goto here was throwing big boots and forearms and chops and looking to be more aggressive. And I feel like the hip attacks, even though they are part of her offense and part of who she is, there wasn't a place for them in this match. And I feel like that understanding is something that's really improved in a lot of the wrestlers, but Chika Goto in particular here. Moving on to the three-way then, Victoria Yuzuki, Sari Yamaoka, and Misa Matsui. Time limit draw. I'm absolutely fine with this going to the time limit draw. I think this was a great platform for all three women. The focus, even though Misa Matsui is obviously, the person we're looking at in terms of a change of character, a change of direction, a change of persona, it was still very much Victoria Yuzuki and Sari Yamaoka. And this was something that they'd sort of carry on with when it got to Korakuen, with Yuzuki saying that, she wanted to have Sari Yamaoka in a singles match. And even though we had a prelude of it in this three-way, it's difficult to sort of know what someone's capable of in a singles capacity in a three-way, because there is that third party, of course. And, Misa Matsui was very clear in her heelish antics during this by sort of trying to sneak the win. But overall, I thought this was great. That closing stretch was brilliant in this match when everyone was getting their licks in. Again, Sari Yamaoka is a super rookie in every sense of the word. Victoria Yuzuki is a generational talent, and I will never ever stop praising Misa Matsui. The sky's the limit for her. It really, really is, especially now that she's been using the MKD. She's using that running knee. She's got those impactful moves. She's got the heelish antics. She's got the persona. She's got the look, especially after Korakuen Hall, which we're going to be talking about. Belts her up.
Yeah, this match, I'm looking at this graphic. This is the future Marigold. And the future
is
it's really bright. Again, Sari Yamaoka, who works, like the shooter style. You're putting her in a three-way, only 15, 20 matches into her career, something like that, against two high-speed style wrestlers. So you're like, how is this going to shake out? And it shaked out really good. The psychology made sense. Everybody looked good. Victoria Yuzuki and Sari Yamaoka. You can tell this is they're planting the seeds to something. Obviously, we have the tag match, which we're going to talk about. And then obviously there's another match coming up between the two. So really good stuff there. Again, Misa Matsui, again, more hero. Let these two wrestlers go out and wear each other out, and I'll pick my spots. And eventually, though, it's Sari Yamaoka who works the different style. Doesn't work the high-speed style, is able to eventually catch the Superfly wrestlers, and is able to launch them with those gut-wrench German suplexes and kind of almost grind them down with that style, which I thought was a really great story to tell, because you never know how that's going to work. Sometimes styles make fights, And sometimes those styles, if they're a little bit different and they're off, they're not gelling, it can go wrong. And this didn't at all. And the fact that you're taking 3 young wrestlers and you're giving them 15 minutes to tell their story, and sink or swim, and they swam. I mean, this was great. I had this at 4 stars. I thought it was terrific, and everybody stayed strong coming out of this match, because it's like, who do you beat here? Again, I have no problem with the time limit draw. I actually prefer it here because we're doing something new to Misa Matsui. We're not going to beat her. We got Saraya Miyoka and Victoria Yuzuki coming up in the next show, the main event of Korakuen Hall. You don't want to beat any of them there. I have, again, not only do I have no problem with the time limit draw, if I was booking this match, I would have booked it as a time limit draw as well. And the fact they went 15 minutes and able to tell such a great story, considering the fact how young all 3 of these wrestlers are, not only in life, but in their wrestling career, is just to a credit of how fast these wrestlers are rapidly getting better in pro wrestling. So 4 stars for me, my friend. I thought this was terrific. And again, this is a tricky one to do. 3-way match, different styles, all young wrestlers. No problem. Hit it out of the park. 4 stars.
Yeah, it's funny you should say about how these 3 are. We could be potentially looking at the future of this company. Victoria Yuzuki is just turned 20. She was 20 at the start of February. Saraya Miyoka is just 18, and Misa Matsui is, quite honestly, geriatric compared to the others. She's 24. I mean, again, we have got years and years and years of these women, and we saw a little dash of it here, just how good they are, just what that top title scene is going to look at. I mean, Victoria Yuzuki and Saraya Miyoka, we could be looking at as a red belt picture, generational rivals for a decade, maybe even more. And that's such an exciting prospect. You throw in Misa Matsui, who again is 24 years old, and that's great. And then of course you've got Kazuna Tanaka, who is 20 years old. You have got some really good young talent on this Marigold roster. Moving on then to the main event. Obviously, in terms of match, there's not a great deal to talk about. It's all about the angle, the formation of Darkness Revolution. And we've talked sort of intermittently throughout the entire podcast about the formation of Darkness Revolution, how I think it is a necessary step in Marigold's evolution. I think it's necessary for all the women involved as well, because obviously the formation makes them stronger, as we saw at Korakuen Hall. Overall, I think the angle was well done. The match, as we mentioned, was a vehicle for the angle. But yeah, what did you think, Matt?
Yeah, again, solid enough match, 3.5 stars. I mean, this is one that's going to be this show. When you look back on it, it's going to remember not only for this angle, but the performance of Chika Goto and now Ishikawa. Again, especially that visual with Chika Goto at the end with Mirai. But it's going to be a memorable show because I like this challenge series, and hopefully this is something that they bring back once a year, or once every 10 to 14, 15 months. I really like the concept. A lot of these younger wrestlers got over because of the unselfishness of the Miko Anos, the Utamis, and the Mirais. But as far as this match as a whole goes, yeah, it did what it needed to do. It's like, hey, let's go in, tell a quick story, have a crazy brawl, double count out. Let's all shake hands, hug, and spray paint the belt, and then go NW. Again, 3.5 stars, but it's all about the angle. I think the angle was very well done. And here we go. Marigold's a company been almost a year. We know that Rossi loves the factions. That's basically what Stardom was built upon and still is to this day, and selling a ton of Neo Genesis merch, by the way. But we have our first faction, and it's a heel faction, which makes sense because now you can have the other baby faces team up to try to take down the heel factions. I just hope that they're booked really strong, and especially Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki, because again, I made mention of it before. They're losing to makeshift tag teams, and they've been a tag team pretty much since the start of Marigold. They need to start picking up some wins, and some big wins as well.
You heard it here first, guys. Megaton, red belt Megaton. That is what Matt wants. Keep them strong. Keep them at the top of the card. Moving on then, and this really was a tremendous show. The show from Korakuen Hall, live on the 20th of February. Again, from Korakuen Hall, the attendance 778 people. It's the 12th time Marigold have run Korakuen Hall, with the house being a marginal decrease of less than 1%. So it really is, again, a nominal decrease from the last time they ran the venue, where they drew 785 on the 19th of January. That was when Sari Yamaoka and Nanae Takahashi took the Twin Star Championships from Bozilla and Tank. Running through the results, and only 6 matches on this card, which really does illustrate just how much talent was missing through injury. Rhea Sato and Riara defeated Ryoko Sakimura and Minami Yuki in the opener. Rhea Sato submitting Ryoko Sakimura with a modified camel clutch in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. In a singles match, Gigaton, the debuting Gigaton, defeated Megaton with a schoolboy in 6 minutes and 56 seconds. In a 6-woman tag match, the Darkness Revolution, teaming officially for the first time under that moniker, Misa Matsui, Nagisa Nozaki, and Chiaki defeated Natsumi Shiozuki, Mikawano, and Chika Goto with a running knee. Misa Matsui pinning Chika Goto in 12 minutes and 43 seconds. Marigold World Championship #1 contendership match, Bozilla defeated Mirai with a sit-out powerbomb in 18 minutes and 27 seconds. That was their first ever singles match, by the way. Marigold United National Championship match, Mai Sakurai defended successfully, defeating Chan Yota with the STF in 14 minutes and 40 seconds. And then in your main event, the Marigold Twin Star Championship match, Nanae Takahashi and Seri Yamaoka successfully defended for the first time against Utami Aishishita and Victoria Yuzuki. Seri Yamaoka pinning Victoria Yuzuki with the Aoki clutch in 24 minutes and 33 seconds. Matt, let's talk about this opener then. I know you're a big fan of Rhea Sato and Riara as a team. I think we saw a more focused Rhea Sato during this match, and I'm wondering if that is piggybacking off the back of what was said in relation to Nanae Takahashi in the Challenge Series about her wanting to be known as more than just the wrestler that likes JoJo.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I didn't think about that, but that makes sense. You know, again, what is that whole challenge series was just to get the younger talent ready for the next level. And Rhea Sato was laser focused here. She was, don't get me wrong, Riara was great, Minami Yuki was great, Ryoko Sakamura was great. Rhea Sato was the MVP of this match, clear in a way. And the fact that she was able to get the win with the camel clutch, I thought was great. And it's just she different level to her submission games. You know, again, the Billy Robinson technique, attack the body like a ladder. She went to the arm, to the neck, to the head, back to the neck. I like that. You know, she's moving up the ladder, pardon me, on how to attack her opponent's body. Really, really great stuff. Again, Riara and Rhea Sato, great tag work, great way to cutting off the ring, quick tags back and forth. Again, Minami Yuki here, she's somebody that is vastly improving over these last 5 or 6 shows. And again, I like the fact that she's using that hammerlock guillotine and the fact that she's using it almost like a giant swing as well. It's a really cool visual. And then Ryoko Satomura, again, another one really improving vastly here. I understand why she was in a match with basically some of the other new wrestlers, but again, I would like to see her in matches with people that are more experienced for her to get better. But I understand because it's Korakuen, kind of have your main eventers tied up, and then plus half the roster is injured as well. But I thought this was a phenomenal match, one of the best openers of Marigold's history in Korakuen Hall, 3.5 stars, and the crowd was really into it as well.
The crowd were into a lot of this show, the vast majority of the show, in fact. And again, I think that's testament to the connection that all of the wrestlers have with the audience. Following this, we did have a debut in terms of a new member of the Marigold roster, a freelancer called Arina Yamanaka, who is prominent in both Best Body Japan and Actress Girls, made an in-ring appearance, and she stated that she has been invited to join Marigold. It looks like she's now a member of the roster. She did spend the rest of the show sitting with Rossi Ogawa. She is a 5 Yvette is the longest reigning BBW Women's Champion in history, 823 days. She did win that championship from, of all people, Mina Shirakawa the first time, and that's who she debuted against. So there you go. She also owns a yoga studio and is a yoga instructor. So there you go. A little bit of information in regards to Arina Yamanaka. I don't think, just triple checking, she is not announced for the show in Osaka tomorrow, but I'm wondering if she will debut on the Rising Spirit Tour, which is the next tour that starts at the start of March. Moving. Oh, sorry, Matt. Go on.
No, I was saying I've never heard of her before. Great stats as always by defeating Mina Shirakawa. That's right. She owns a yoga studio. You can tell because there's the old expression, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. She looked like $1 million in that black dress, and you can see her arms were cut up. So yes, I'm not shocked that she's a yoga practitioner, and the fact that she wrestles for Best Body Japan because she looked like she was in phenomenal shape. Again, I know next to nothing about her other than the fact that when she cut that curtain, you can tell she's somebody. She's somebody. I'm like, I've never heard of this person before, but somebody to definitely keep the eyes out for. Obviously, she wasn't bumping in the ring, but when she made her way to the ring, cut that little bit of a promo, she's somebody that, again, Rob, has that aura to her. So, again, fleshing out the roster of Marigold. Love it. Absolutely love it.
I will just say, though, during that 823 days as BBW champion, she didn't defend it once. So there you go.
Way to work the system. What a worker. Can you imagine, Rob, getting paid for your job and not going to work for over 800 days? You know? We talked
about Megaton being the Hulk Hogan. I mean...
I tell you what, folks, there's your Summer Destiny semi-main event.
Arina Yamanaka versus Megaton. Imagine.
They just Memphis it and stall for 20 minutes and don't even touch. They don't even lock up. They just Memphis it.
Like that Noah match where they just stare at each other for 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that was with Go Shiozaki and was it Vegeta?
It was Vegeta, yeah, it was. That broke me, that match. It really did. I was like, what even is wrestling? Moving on, though. Match number 2. Gigaton versus Megaton. This match went 7 minutes, Matt. And genuinely, I don't think I've had more fun in 7 minutes than watching this. It's often said that if you're going to do a cartoonish gimmick, that you need to embrace it. Good God, did Now Ishikawa live and I mean, we're assuming it was Now Ishikawa. Obviously, we don't know the real sort of secret identity of Gigaton, and we're certainly not confirming that here. We don't want to open ourselves up to slander or libel, obviously. But in terms of embracing the gimmick, she loved every single second of this, from the entrance with the staff and the hair to the stuff in ring. Absolutely love this match. Unironically love this match. Yes, it was solely comedy fare. I understand that. But that's what you need. It offered it basically, and I've said this on the Joshi Informer, which you can subscribe to now. I said, literally, my words are: a singles match with no stakes was made infinitely more memorable and more entertaining. This is a match. Had it just been a singles match, no disrespect to either competitor, we wouldn't have remembered it in the swathe of fantastic matches that followed it. You know, the next 4 matches are brilliant. But this, you instantly remember this. And credit to Megaton, even more credit to Gigaton. We don't know it's Now Ishikawa, obviously. But again, tremendous performance. She became that character in that match.
Lot to unpack that you just said, my man. First and foremost, everyone subscribe to the Joshi Informer. I do. Obviously, Rob Goodwin and Scotty Wrestling do a great job on the, I believe, on issue number 2, right? I believe came out today. So
issue 3 came out today.
Oh, was it issue 3? Look at that. You guys are pumping them out. I can't even keep up. But no, really, folks, subscribe to the Joshi Informer. You will not regret it. You just made mention about a minute ago, partner. You don't know if Gigaton was Now Ishikawa. I know that Now Ishikawa was Gigaton because of something that you taught me. There's a match graphic. We're looking at the match graphic. It's official. It's official. I will say this, my friend. I think I mentioned to you, I don't know if this was off air or not. And Our good buddy Sonny and Stu did a great job on commentary. They missed out that now Ishikawa's face paint Gene Simmons from Kiss. Gene Simmons from Kiss, and obviously you share a hotel room with my cousin Frank. He's a massive Kiss fan.
Massive Kiss fan.
He loves Kiss more than I love Tam Nakano. That is saying a lot, my friend. That is, to be fair, there's 50 years of Kiss stuff out there, but anyway,
true. Feels like there's 50 years of Tam stuff out there.
How dare you, sir? Not enough to make the world go over. You walk that Tam road, good sir. Now Ishikawa. And I would always hear Chris Jericho saying this on his podcast, that whatever somebody gives you an assignment, you sink your teeth into and you commit to it.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how ridiculous it is, if that's what you're doing, you sink your teeth into it. And now Ishikawa, she sank her teeth into this character. She really, really did. And you're absolutely right. If it was just now Ishikawa versus Gigaton, and when we previewed the show last week, we were saying, this will be fun. Right? You know, you're going to get your main crux of your big, hard-hitting, main event style matches coming up in those last few matches, which we did, which we'll get into. This will be a fun match. And now Ishikawa's like, how can I make this even more fun? And you're absolutely right. This is a match that we're going to remember for a long time because of just the fun that was had in this match. Really good stuff. Obviously, it wasn't going to go 15, 20 minutes. You know what you're getting with Gigaton. Now Ishikawa's like, I'm just going to lean into something completely different, and I'm going to let the fans have fun with it. I'm going to have fun with it. Gigaton's going to have fun with it. And you see that emote through now Ishikawa. It's another layer of now Ishikawa that she can do now, and that is over in Korakuen Hall. 3.5 stars for me, my friend. Again, really, really fun stuff. And again, this is something that I'll remember for a long time because at the end of the day, my friend, pro wrestling is fun. And that's what it is. That's what life is all about. Just having fun.
Absolutely. Hell to the yes. We move on then to the official unveiling of the Darkness Revolution. Misa Matsui comes out and instantly, if you weren't already sold on Misa Matsui as a heel, she comes out in almost this circus conductor's outfit. And that doesn't do it justice at all. She looks fantastic. She's under a new moniker of Psycho Speed. That's a great nickname. That's up there with the best nicknames. I mean, incredible. And from that moment, she's obviously, you look at who's in this match: Miko Ueno, Natsumi Shozuki, Nagisa Nozaki. Misa Matsui is the focus of this match. She's the one that gets the win. She's the one who gets a lot of the time, and rightly so. And it's here where I'm like, she needs to be catapulted up this card. Maybe not straight away, maybe build her up, but before the Dream Star, I can see her having a white belt match easily and knocking it out of the park. Whether it is against a Mai Sakurai or whether it's, whether Mai Sakurai's dropped the belt by then, I don't know. I know that Misa Matsui is going to hit it out of the park because here, and bearing in mind, she was uber babyface not a month ago, less than 2 weeks ago. She was an uber babyface facing Victoria Yuzuki for the Superfly Championship. And she has transitioned seamlessly into a, for lack of a better phrase, and I apologize, YouTube, a chicken shit heel. And it's great, but one who can wrestle. I mean, again, we talk about that flying knee, best in the business. The MKD, really, really, really good move. She's got all of the facets. On top of that, you've then got Miko Ueno and Nagisa Nozaki who upped their exchanges from Sendai in order to try and hurt each other even more. I mean, the kicks that, like, Nagisa Nozaki is hard. Like, she is, as we like to say in Britain, she's well hard. Like, she's stoic. She sold those kicks like she'd been hit by a boat, my friend, and they echoed around Korakuen Hall. Miko Ueno put some extra stank on those kicks, especially for Nagisa Nozaki. I think it's great that the Darkness Revolution trio work as well as they do with such short time. Overall, really, really good match. And I really enjoyed the fact that they paired them with 3 wrestlers, who are effectively really good workers for a start, but also on something of a slump. So you can really compound that with what they did here. Great, great match. Thoroughly enjoyed this.
It's really important when you're starting your first trio, your first heel trio. You make sure you get baby faces that are going to help them get over. And
Yeah.
you look at this trio, obviously, Chika, or Miko Ano, Natsumi Shozuki, they're crazy over main eventers in this company. Chika Goto, again, what a tear she's been on. Even before her injury, fall of last year, was somebody that was massively over, especially in Korakuen Hall. So these three come out, and you're just like, I'm sitting there watching this match. I'm like, okay, clearly the Darkness Revolution, they need to go over here. But like you look at this trio that they're going to go over, it's like a lot of firepower there. There really, really is. And by the way, Natsumi Shozuki in that green and yellow, the new gear, she looked fantastic.
Incredible.
She looked great.
Also, the Mayu Iwatani tail. Is that a hit mat?
God, oh my God! But wait a minute, and I'm looking at this graphic here, and Natsumi Shozuki is wearing a black armband. Is she going to hate or the Darkness Revolution Army? I don't know. What are we doing? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! If I read it online, it must be true. Anyway, back to this match. Again, this is really good stuff. You're right, absolutely right. Miko Ano blistering with the kicks. Ultimately, what it does, it's the bending and the breaking of the rules. The bending of the breaking the rules, because this is your first match as a trio for this your heel faction. And it works perfectly because you're getting more heat. And the match ends absolutely perfect. You have probably the most it's debatable, but in my opinion, the most over person in Korakuen Hall in this match is Chika Goto. What happens? Chair shot to the head. Gimmick or not, and it did look a little gimp, but I was still like, ooh, okay. But at the same time, I understand we need to get this faction over. She takes the chair shot to the head and then the flying knee for the finish. So it's again, where's the sympathy on Chika Goto? Where's the heat on the Darkness Revolution Army, especially Misa Matsui? And you're absolutely right. She looked like a heel character out of the Alice in Wonderland comics that the Zenescope comic book company produced like 10 years ago. She had the little mini hat to the side. She just, it was a really, really cool look. And was it Psycho Speed? Is that what they're calling her now?
Psycho Speed. Now, I will just point out, and again, credit to Stu and to Sonny for pointing this out. In Japanese, psycho has two meanings. So you've got psycho, obviously, in English, which means crazy. In Japanese, it can mean crazy, but it also means number one as well, or the best, or whatever. So in terms of the nickname, it's actually twofold, but in terms of just an aura, it's a great nickname. It really is.
And a really cool t-shirt to come out with. Can you imagine
really
that?
Good.
Really, maybe she's the number one crazy speed. Maybe that's let's get them all together. Again, obviously Chika Goto, Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki, they played their roles really well. Ultimately, towards the end, their job was to take out Miko Ano and Natsumi Shozuki and distract the referee, which is what they did for Misa Matsui to open the door to stop Chika Goto with that chair shot and the flying knee. Solid match. 3 3/4 stars for me. And Rob Goodwin, maybe I'm just stretching here. Maybe it's just something that I want to see. I think what this match did, other than the main thing was get Misa Matsui over to the point where it's like, yes, strap the rocket to her. And it got more sympathy on Chika Goto, which I'm all for. I also think we're planting the seeds. Again, maybe this is just wishful thinking. Maybe it's fantasy booking for me. I think I'm planting the seeds to a tag team feud with the Dark Wolf Army of Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki versus Miko Ano, Natsumi Shozuki. I hope that's the way that we're going, because you can do a lot with it. You can trade some wins back and forth. You can have some DQs, some double countouts. There's some singles matches in there. You can exchange certain opponents, but I think you can get a lot of mileage out of a Nagisa and Chiaki versus Miko Ano, Natsumi Shozuki feud. I really, really think you can, because again, you can do countouts, disqualifications, and you can keep the feud hot. Again, that's one of the things that there was so many things that came out of this match, and that's just one of them. But obviously, the main thing is Misa Matsui. I know you said possible white belt shot before the Dream Star. I'm going to bet no money, Rob. Maybe $1. Why not? I'm going to bet $1
Absolutely.
that going into the Dream Star, Misa Matsui is the United National Champion.
Whoa.
Because you do need that heel and that baby face as your champions going in to the big tournament. I don't think Utami's dropping that belt anytime soon. I think we both agree Utami's going into the big tournament in the summer as the red belt champion. Why not have your big baby face in Utami and then your heel in Misa Matsui? You know what's really weird? Like, you look at the stature of this faction, the Darkness Revolution Army. Misa Matsui is like the smallest in stature. But if But if Hodoga was to say, "Hey, Rob, we need to belt up one of these wrestlers," I think me and you both would agree that it's going to be Misa Matsui. Like she's the smallest in staff. This new heel persona, she feels like the biggest star. Which that's just an incredible accomplishment. It shows how talented she is that she can project herself as such a bigger star.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at how many Korakuen Hall shows they've got between now and the Dream Star. So say the Dream Star, I mean, we're talking end of August, didn't we? It was 31st of August last year it started. I mean, should Mai Sakurai drop the belt before the Dream Star, you're already looking at a 7-8 month reign. You know, it's not a reign to sniff at by any stretch of the imagination. You could quite easily have Misa Matsui dethrone Mai Sakurai at Summer Destiny if they run Summer Destiny again.
And you know what else you can do? If Mai Sakurai loses that belt right before the Dream Star, you can really tease putting her going all the way through again and winning the whole thing. Maybe she goes to the finals again and loses to Mirai. Then you have the tag partner story. There's a lot that you can do there. We don't expect, like, we never expect a Wonder Champion to win the 5-star Grand Prix.
No,
Like
Dream Star. Sorry, yeah.
I'm saying
sorry,
the 5-star
ignore me,
and then going over to the Dream Star. That's why I was just kind of connecting the dots.
Sorry, ignore me.
So you wouldn't know, brother. I completely understand. I understand. You were just trying to cover me up there, my man. I appreciate you. You always got my back because of bear blessings. But I think that if Sakurai drops the belt before the Dream Star, it gives her a better chance of actually winning the Dream Star. It makes it more believable. That's the point that I was just trying to get across. But there's a lot that you can do. And again, Marigold, they got a lot of irons in the fire in the best way possible. I mean, this company is considering the fact that like where they were 5-6 months ago, where it's just like, yeah, the shows were pretty good and they weren't drawing that many tickets, and it's like, what are they doing here? What are they doing here? It's just like kind of a wait and see thing. And obviously, the numbers have been going up. They're having great shows, and now we're doing really, really cool things with all of the wrestlers. And we're building up the mid-carders to main eventers. Chika Goto, Misa Matsui. I'm excited, my friend. I'm really excited to see what they have in the pipeline coming up here as we lead into the big pay-per-view coming up in May.
I feel like she should be given a white belt shot just for that nickname. That's me. I'm a shallow man, I'll be perfectly honest. The nickname and the gear, give her a white belt shot. Moving on then, we have our number one contender for the the Marigold World Championship. Bozilla defeating Mirai. She will challenge Utami Aichi at the next Korakuen Hall show, which is the 31st of March. Now, I know there are going to be quite a few people upset at the fact that Mirai has lost this, and I completely get that. I completely understand that, especially for Mirai fans. Without a singles title since she's been in the company, had an on again, off again sort of win percentage at the start of last year. However, I think this is great. And the reason I think it's great is because you are building a story around Mirai. Mirai is 100% going to hold that Marigold Championship at some point. 100%. I don't even think that is, I think everyone would agree that she is a future champion. If she goes in to a Red Belt Championship match against Utami in March, she's losing. 1,000% she's losing, because they're not having Utami drop the belt after 2 months. They simply aren't. So what you do is you knock Mirai down in order to build her back up. And that's where, I've said it for months now. I think Mirai wins the Dream Star. And I think she challenges, if they do a January 3rd pay-per-view next year, which fingers crossed we'll be at, Mirai versus Utami is going to be that main event match that you absolutely need. Bozilla is a perfect challenger for Utami. We saw her have a tremendous match with Sari, and she's going to have a very, very good match with Utami. Effectively, we need title defenses for Utami. You don't want to burn through a legitimate person who could dethrone Utami and Mirai this early into her reign. Again, we've said it before. even though we are getting there with the likes of Misa Matsui in challenging for the white belt, I don't think we've quite got the caliber of challenger for the red belt as of yet. I don't think you burn through Mirai yet. I don't think you burn through Miko Auno yet. And that doesn't leave you with a great deal of challengers. You know, maybe Natsumi Shozuki, but she's on a losing streak at the moment. You know, Bozilla here. Maybe Nagisa Nozaki? But again, there's not a great deal out there. So I think that's good on that level. In terms of the match itself, I thought this was great. Mirai's fighting spirit really did show through here, riding that initial Bozilla aggression. And then you had the brawl on the outside, and Mirai's been overpowered. And I think that she only really gets a foothold in the match when she gets Bozilla onto the mat and begins working those arms in an eerily similar way in which Sari defeated her in the main event of Korakuen back in 2024. And it looks like she's going to have it done. When she's manipulating those joints and you can see Bozilla screaming in pain, you're like, she's done it. She's going to do it. And then Bozilla gets a foot on the ropes. We had that German suplex spot that you were talking about, which was brilliant. But also, full credit to Bozilla, who one of those transitions out of a missed Mirai lariat into an armbar wouldn't have been out of place in a Superfly championship match. Like how smoothly she transitioned, how quickly she transitioned into it. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful sit out powerbomb. Eventually, Mirai just hasn't got the strength to carry on. Can't go any longer. Bozilla wins, goes on to face Utami, where I think we'll agree that Utami is going to retain there. I think it's going to be a fantastic match, but I think Utami retains. And again, this can be the start of your story for Mirai, where she's in a slump, wins the Dream Star, and then we get the two biggest stars in this company, Utami and Mirai, face to face, first Dream, wherever first Dream is going to be held in 2026.
Yeah, a lot of good points, and I agree with everything you said about Mirai. You know, not just yet. You know, when the time is right. Not only that, but Bozilla is part of your first faction. So
Exactly, yeah.
let's strike why the iron. So I'm going to double down on that and strike why the iron is hot. Let's do Bozilla and Utami. And Bozilla cuts a really great promo on Utami after the main event, which we'll get into.
She does, yeah.
As far as this match goes, we knew what we were going to get, my man. We knew what we were going to get. This is going to be hard hitting in your face, and that's exactly what this was. Mirai goes toe to toe with Bozilla. There's that point early in the match that you get that wild brawl all over Korakuen Hall. And kind of Mirai, she's really looking to hit those series of lariats. Like she likes to hit a handful of them, you know, in a row or build towards them. And she only gets like one or two off on Bozilla. Like that's like the story. There's like you said, the counter of the armbar. There's the counter of the F5 or Bozilla. Like her game plan is like the only way Mirai can beat me is if she hits me with a series of lariats that'll open up for her other moves or for another big lariat. And Bozilla's like, I have the lariat scouted. If I have to take one or two, that's fine. But I'm not going to take a whole bunch of them in a row for Mirai to be able to build enough steam to get the win here. It's a simple game plan from Bozilla, and she plays it off perfectly. Yeah, there's that one point where she goes for the Vader bomb, and Mirai is able to German suplex her off the rope. She's able to hit a couple forearms. Again, it really only hits like one lariat. She does hit the mirror Mirai shock, which I thought was really, really great. Bozilla is able to come back with that. She hits a beautiful, beautiful Death Valley bomb. Mirai kicks out, and the crowd pops huge. That might have been the biggest pop of the match because, again, Mirai really can't get a foothold in this match with the lariats. And then Bozilla hits the DVD, kick out. The people really hot for Mirai, but eventually, though, Bozilla is able to follow that up with a beautiful Liger bomb for the 3 count. This was a great match. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. I was shocked and pleasantly surprised in the best way that it's got enough time. I thought this one went 14, 15, 16 minutes, but for this to get around 19 minutes, partner, I thought it was great, and they weren't rushed at everything. They were able to tell their stories. They were able to stretch everything out with selling and build the drama and build the emotion. Again, literally the point where a lot of people thought that insane Death Valley driver that Bozilla hit was going to be the finish. Mirai kicked out and still had a little bit of fighting spirit left. The crowd really popped for her, but Bozilla stays the course, follows it up with an insane sit-out Liger bomb. Again, 4.25 stars. I thought this was great, and again, I like this. Let's cool Mirai down only to build her back up, which I guess is what's going to happen towards the end of the summer as we get to the Dream Star.
Moving on then to your semi-main event, the untitled match between Mai Sakurai and Chan Yota. Now, obviously, I have a relatively small sample size when it comes to Chan Yota, and that is almost exclusively her stuff in Stardom with Mai Sakurai. Nevertheless, I did have rather lofty expectations of this match, and I must admit, both women exceeded them. I thought that Chan Yota was packaged perfectly in this match, an absolute powerhouse throughout. I thought she helped Mai Sakurai's babyface returns, her fighting spirit to really come alive because she is such a threat in terms of her power. That kick out, you mentioned the huge crowd reaction to the Mirai kick out. The kick out from the jackhammer here, I reckon that crowd reaction was even louder. And again, the fact that it looks like we might be getting more Chan Yota in Marigold with with Mai Sakurai asking her to join her later on, I think is great because here, considering this only got 14 minutes, I think they managed to deliver a really good match, whether it's the bruising strikes, whether it's Mai Sakurai looking to manipulate and ground Chan Yota with those submission holds, especially after she'd been sort of relegated to just using pockets of offense to try and get back into the match. I thought this was a really, really well-worked match. One of Chan Yota's best performances I've ever seen. Mai Sakurai is going from strength to strength to strength as a champion. Overall, I couldn't ask for anything more from this. We knew Mai Sakurai was going to win. However, Chan Yota comes out of it feeling like someone that Marigold needs to tie down.
Yeah, we start out, big lockup, always put that over. Great technical wrestling back and forth. Chan Yota overpowers Mai Sakurai. They go to the floor, and you have that really cool visual, of Chan Yota putting Mai Sakurai in the torture rack on the floor of Korakuen Hall. I thought that was really, really cool. And Chan Yota really starts building up her offense there, but it's a lot of fighting spirit from Mai Sakurai. And again, the fact that this is a United National Championship match, Mai Sakurai fighting from underneath just goes to show you how important this belt is. It's one thing to get yourself over. It's another thing to get your opponent over. When you're in a championship match and you're making the belt even more important, that's what this match did, especially Mai Sakurai. The fact that she's able to kick out and come back from so much stuff that Chan Yota does, because Chan Yota clearly has the power advantage on Mai Sakurai, and she builds towards that towards the end. She hits that jackhammer. When Sakurai kicks out, you're absolutely right. You get the big pop from the crowd because what are we doing? We're getting the match over. We're getting the belt over. That's ultimately what the most important thing is coming out of this match, is making the United National Championship, the belt, mean so much more, which ultimately gets Mai Sakurai over. And obviously Chan Yota, who really, obviously Sakurai does get the win with the glorious driver into the STF. I like that. But you look at this is like a 60-40 match for Chan Yota. Really, it's Sakurai fighting on the back foot. It's just her willing to win, her desire to win, the importance of this belt for her is able to fight back from all the power stuff that Chan Yota is doing. Like you said, kicking out of the jackhammer for her to hit the STK, the glorious driver into the STF. Phenomenal match. I thought around 15 minutes was the perfect time for them to tell their story. And again, I would love to see Chan Yota back in Marigold on a full-time basis, because I think she fits in really well with this roster, especially again where we need top baby faces to go against the Darkness Revolution army. And the fact that, I would love to see her versus Bozilla. I'd love to see Mai Sakurai and Chan Yota going up against Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki. That'd be a great tag match. Phenomenal match. These two top championships from Marigold are only delivering constantly. The championship matches are delivering, especially this United National title. 4.25 stars for me, my friend. I thought this was terrific.
Moving on then to the main event. Speaking of terrific, I mean, you've got Sari Yamaoka, who's an incredibly special talent. You've got Victoria Yuzuki, who is an incredibly special talent. You've got Nanae Takahashi, who's doing the best work that she's done in years. And you've got Utami Hayashishita, who is, without hyperbole, one of the best wrestlers on the face of the earth. There's no way this match wasn't going to be good. I mean, you look at who's in there. I mean, and it is worth stating, this is Sari Yamaoka's 12th match. 12th. It's her second Korakuen main event. And she was brilliant in this. And what I loved about this match is that the focus was on the youngsters. The focus was on Sara Yamaoka and Victoria Yuzuki, not necessarily together, even though those exchanges were brilliant. And again, we talked about it earlier, the future of Marigold playing out in front of us, but also because you had got Nanae Takahashi utterly dominant over Victoria Yuzuki. You've got Utami Hayashishita completely dominant over Sara Yamaoka. And then you've got the more experienced partners coming in to allow a little bit of separation. But crucially, they were allowed the time to shine. They were allowed the time to fight from underneath. They were allowed the time to get the crowd on side. It was a tremendous performance from all four women. Genuinely one of the best tag matches I've seen all year. I think this was so well structured, so well paced, didn't overstay its welcome. And again, you have got Sara Yamaoka bringing out the Aoki lock that she's been in the dojo with Shinya Aoka, who is apparently an MMA fighter and wrestler that I didn't know about. Apparently, he's in DDT. But the fact that she's been learning and wins the match with this, it proves that she's willing to learn, to adapt, to continue to grow as a wrestler. Plus, it sets her apart from other people on this roster. Utilize that amateur wrestling background in this. And again, we've got a ready-made feud, a ready-made generational feud between Yamaoka and Yuzuki. Great match, tremendous match.
I like how they built up on social media the training with Sara Yamaoka and Aoka.
They did a very good job of that.
He's a Pride fighting legend. I think he fighting at lightweight. I think he's had some fights with Sakuraba. I think he's had a fight with Nick Diaz. I should know that. The Diaz brothers are two of my favorite fighters ever. But yeah, when you get a chance, partner, look him up because he is legit, absolute legit. And obviously, Sara Yamaoka is legit with an amateur background. But you're absolutely right. It's like Nanae and Utami. They assert their dominance in here. But this match isn't about them. Nanae is retiring in a few months. We don't need to get over. Utami Hayashishita is the champion of this company. And again, she has no problem putting everybody else over to make the match and the company better. And you're absolutely right. Nanae blitzes Victoria Yuzuki early on this match. But very much different in the match that we just reviewed with Rhea Sato. Yuzuki comes back. And boy, howdy, does she come back. She's like, I don't think so, Nanae. This is my Korakuen Hall main event. And like to me, Yuzuki might have even been the MVP of this match.
She was.
I thought she was absolutely terrific. Again, great tag work with her and Utami, just the drop kicks into the Germans, just the way they're able to chain things back and forth. Anytime that they got into trouble, Utami's there for the save. When we see some great tag work back and forth, only for Nanae and Sara Yamaoka to really like almost grind down Utami and Victoria Yuzuki. I thought there was great stuff there. We get a beautiful dive from Victoria Yuzuki. We see a Iron Cross Northern Light suplex from the rookie and Sara Yamaoka, which I thought was great. And then eventually just Nanae and Utami Hayashishita kind of taking each other out. But really, those last few minutes, it's all about in the main event of over 700 people in a loud Korakuen Hall. It's all about the two of them just sitting it out and letting, again, the future of this company unfold in front of our eyes. And it's very unselfish and very smart for business for these two main eventers to do that. And it's nothing but home run from both Sara Yamaoka and, of course, Victoria Yuzuki. Obviously, we get the Sara Yamaoka hits a huge spear, hammerlock Northern Light suplex, which I thought was great for a 2 count. She hits a very dangerous German suplex, like a release German suplex. I was like, oh, geez, that was high on the neck of Victoria Yuzuki. I'm glad she's doing her neck bridges because that was a little high and tight. But then eventually she hits that German suplex into the IOK lock, or KO lock clutch, for the 3 count. Rob Goodwin, another week goes by in Joshi Wrestling, another must-see tag match. And this is it for me. 4.5 stars. This is great. This whole show was great. Everything from the opening match to the main event offered something really good and something different. From the development of Rhea Sato to the comedy match to the new heel faction to a great hard-hitting match with Bozilla and Mirai to a phenomenal United National Championship for this to close out the show. This was absolutely great. 4 great wrestlers, 2 great teams, absolutely crushing it in the legendary Korakuen Hall. What more could you ask for, my friend? This was absolutely fantastic. And the fact this wasn't a pay-per-view, the fact this was just, your $6-7 and you get Wrestle Universe, this match alone was well worth $7. Great stuff. And again, not only was it a great match, but what we have coming up in the future, not only, and we'll get into the post-match angles because we have 2 matches set up, but just what you're looking at, like Tommy has just on another level. Like this is something we've known a long time, but she's finally has something to really sink her teeth into. She didn't have too much stuff towards her tail end of her Stardom run, but now she has something to sink her teeth into, and she's doing a great job uplifting everybody, as that's what Nanai is doing as well. Sarah Yamaoka, again, her 12th match, 2 Korakuen Hall main events. That's absolutely insane. And Victoria Yuzuki, she might be somebody that at the end of the year we might be saying she's the most improved wrestler in all of wrestling, because I can totally buy her going to the Dream Star and making it to one of the on the final night being still in contention, because she does everything great. The strikes, the high speed style wrestling, the selling, tag wrestling, singles wrestling. She's a special talent, man. She really, really is. And we talk about super rookie Sarah Yamaoka. I know Victoria Yuzuki isn't a rookie anymore, but she is a super, super sophomore, if we're going to call her that. I mean, she's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch in all of wrestling. She's terrific. And then you're teaming her with Utami, and then probably, Kazuna Tanaka as part of King's Voyage. I'm all for it, my man. Get the flag, get the flag. Bow
Absolutely.
down to the Kings.
Bow down to the Kings. You've got the main tag team, Athena. It'll be great. It'll be great. Yeah, I mean, Victoria Yuzuki, what a performance from her. Again, we talked a couple of weeks ago about the flack she was getting for, having the audacity to try different moves and, make mistakes, which is wild to me. And again, here she silenced all the critics. Any critics that she got left after a phenomenal Superfly Championship match against Misa Matsui. Again, here she's highlighted exactly why she is the future of this company, why she is the person who is so desperate to become the future ace and someone who will absolutely be the future ace. So yeah, fully on board for that. Again, we know now that we are getting Sarah Yamaoka and Victoria Yuzuki in a singles match, potentially with the Superfly Championship on the line. Hasn't been confirmed yet. Sarah Yamaoka wants a singles match. Victoria Yuzuki said, well, I'm willing to put the Superfly Championship on the line if you want it. So that's going to be really interesting, because even though Sarah Yamaoka is in her 12th match, she's been doing phenomenal stuff, we've only seen her in one singles match so far, and that was against Mirai in her debut. She's got one coming up tomorrow as we record against Rhea Sato.
Ooh.
But we haven't seen her in a singles match yet. I'm intrigued to see how that goes, because you've got 2 very, very good rookies, but you are looking at Victoria Yuzuki to take the lead in that, and that's something that I'm really excited to see. And then, of course, you had Bozilla coming out, cutting a promo on Utami Hayashishita, confirming that we will be getting that Crimson Red Belt match on March 31st in Korakuen Hall. Matt, if we are to get both of those matches on next month's Korakuen, throw in an untitled match as well, that's going to be a very, very tasty Korakuen Hall show.
Yeah, and then you throw in whatever Misa Matsui's doing, because she seems like she's the most, she's not a champion here, but she seems like she's the most important person right now in this company. So it's just like, what's she doing? I don't care if it's a tag, singles, 6 persons. Like, what's she doing? What would be awesome? They just gave her a singles match with Miko Ano and have her beat Miko Ano in the middle of the ring, and then have her challenge for one of the belts afterwards.
That's literally the only thing I was going to change then, was have her beat Natsumi Shozuki. That's the only thing I was going to change, because I was going to say, you've had a red belt number 1 contendership match here. Why not have a white belt number 1 contendership match at the next Korakuen? You've already got the history between Natsumi Shozuki and Misa Matsui. You've already had the fact that Natsumi Shozuki has beaten Misa Matsui twice. Matsui has turned heel because of her lack of ability to get, to win the big one. Why not have her beat Natsumi Shozuki in a white belt number 1 contendership match and have her challenge Mai Sakurai? I think that works.
I love it. Book it. Goodwin. And book it with bare blessings.
With bare blessings. We also, I don't know if you saw this, we also had the Marvelous roster. We're up in the balcony of Korakuen Hall cheering on Nanae Takahashi. We were all doing the passion at the end, which I thought was really nice, a really nice touch. But yeah, at the moment, I'd argue that this is probably the best run of shows that Marigold have put on in a while. Like, in terms of a set of shows, I think credit needs to go to everyone involved, thinking that obviously this was only 6 matches, this Korakuen Hall show. You've got a whole raft of injuries. You are putting a lot of pressure on the other wrestlers on the roster, and everyone delivered. Every single wrestler to a woman delivered on this card. So credit needs to be attributed to absolutely everyone involved. You know, Rossi needs credit for booking a very, very, very good show without half his roster. Really, really good. Really, really good. And I'm really intrigued now where we go next. I can't wait for this next Korakuen Hall show, where we're going next, what programs we're going to get. You know, again, what's happening with Misa Matsui, what's going to happen with Miko Ano, who's finally recovered from this slump, what's going to happen with the Dark Wolf Army, who's challenging Mai Sakurai next. Loads and loads of different things to look forward to.
When is Naho Yamada coming back? So much great stuff to talk about. The fact that these 4 shows were so great, and they're all, again, Marigold's a solid roster. They're so great, and we didn't get, you know, our new favorite wrestler and all the rest of Naho Yamada spreading the love and passion and energy. Man, when she comes back, I don't know if I'll be able to handle it.
I genuinely don't either. Again, it was nice to see. I know that Kazuna Tanaka is due back, I believe, at the start of March. And I think I said this on the podcast last week. I wouldn't be surprised if that first show of the Rising Spirit Tour, which I will tell you exactly where that is, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we see Yamanaka, and where we see the return of Kazuna Tanaka and Nagisa Takibana, because she's due back at the end of February as well. So the Spring Victory Series, not the Rising Spirit Tour, I'm sorry. The Spring Victory Series starts on the 1st of March in Maibashi. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we see Kazuna Tanaka come back. In terms of what's coming up, we have one show announced, and again, as I mentioned before, Osaka 176 box on Saturday the 22nd. The card is as follows. The return we have all been craving, Matt Turner. The return of Flying Penguin. Flying Penguin versus Ryoko Sakimura. We've got Riara versus Mai Sakurai in a singles match, which I'm quite excited to see what that's like. A real opportunity there for Riara. Singles match, Sari Yamaoka versus Ria Sato, as I mentioned before. Utami Hayashishita's teaming with Naoya Ishikawa against Megaton and Bozilla. These 2 tag matches are really, really tasty. Miko Ano and Natsumi Shozuki versus Chiaki and Misa Matsui. And then Mirai and Victoria Yuzuki versus Chika Goto and Minami Yuki. So again, 2 really, really good tag matches to tie off that show. Again, we've already talked about it. Sari Yamaoka in only her 2nd singles match against Ria Sato. That's going to be really interesting. And again, I'm really excited to see what Riara can do in a singles match with Mai Sakurai. We saw it start well with Natsumi Shozuki, and then obviously, you know, there was the ending which went a bit wrong, but it was still a good match leading up to that. And I think this could be a real opportunity for Riara to really showcase what she can do.
Yeah, really solid stuff, my friend. That's the only show that the Marigold has come up this weekend, right? Just the one show?
This weekend, yes. They've also got a show on Thursday in Tobu Hall in Tobu Friend Hall, in Tokyo, but no card's been announced for that yet. And again, that's Thursday the 27th. So, and then there is a little bit of a gap before we start the Spring Victory Series on the 1st of March.
Okay. Yeah, again, obviously with Marigold, depending on the schedule, always, whenever we record, it's always a little bit different. Usually Stardom, it's Wednesday, Thursday. So again, once me and Rob figure out what we're, when these shows drop, and we'll figure out a schedule. So, you'll get it when you get it, and you'll love it. You know what I just realized, and obviously nobody else can see this but me and you, that you titled this episode MS Bear Blessing. I just noticed that. We've been recording for almost 3 hours, and I just noticed. We're going all in. We're going all.
I'd done that.
Our girlfriends are going to kill us in Vegas. I can't wait.
Absolutely.
There's walking around drunk doing this.
There's a reason that Kirsty is still in contract negotiations with me.
I got you. Remember, I got you. I got that contract. Maybe you should.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe go.
You're the Mojo Rawley of talent relations. Anyway,
I don't know what that means.
He negotiated Alexa Bliss's contract. Apparently, they were miles apart, and then she rocked up at the Royal Rumble because Mojo Rawley's now her agent.
Is that legit or a storyline? That's a shoot?
No, legit. Yeah, he owns a talent agency. There's he represents like a ridiculous amount of people that I'm sure he's Ric Flair's agent as well.
Norman, you met Norm when we went to
I did.
Philly. Obviously, how he did the beer with our the Stardom Cast beer. He was doing he was golfing and he just bumped into Mojo Rawley. I think they were golfing or something. Yeah, something random. He just saw him at a golf course. I forget the song. I haven't talked to Norm in a while. But sir, anywho, obviously we now let's use anything else to do, my man. Go ahead, intro me, good sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've done all the Marigold shows. We've previewed the upcoming show in Osaka on the 22nd, and that means there is only one thing left to do, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, with additional bear blessings, we're going to gaze at Giulia.
Dangerously beautiful bear blessings. See what I did there?
Love it.
We have 2 segments, folks. We're going to go to Saturday, NXT Vengeance Day in my nation's capital, Washington, D.C. This was put on as the main event. 4-way championship match, fatal 4-way. One fall wins it all. Giulia versus Bayley versus Roxanne Perez versus Cora Jade. And this was a barn burner, folks. I'm just going to kind of just go through the highlights here. Giulia hits a Joshi-style dropkick onto Bayley and Roxanne Perez. We do see several roll-ups from all 4 wrestlers for some 2 counts. Bayley and Roxanne Perez, which fingers crossed, Rob Goodwin is a WrestleMania match. The way that it's building, they do stereo dives, try to out dive each other. Then they get back in the ring and say, "Hey, let's slap each other in the face for real." And then Giulia's like, "That's not real. I'll show you what real is." And then she gives brute scrapes that even Hazuki was like, "Damn, girl." To Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, we get solid exchanges with Bayley and Giulia, and obviously Bayley is a main eventer in this company. The fact that she's wrestling these phenomenal wrestlers in NXT, I think that's great. Really good stuff with Bayley and Giulia. I have a feeling that we'll be seeing that match on the main roster in the next year or so. Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez team up to take out Giulia. Roxanne Perez hits a double jump moonsault on the Bayley for a 2 count, which was great. Fight spills out to the outside. Cora Jade takes advantage with a top rope somersault plancha to the floor. Bayley comes in, cleans house. We get some great submission exchanges back and forth with Giulia and Roxanne Perez. Giulia gets the better of that exchange and is able to transition that into the Northern Lights bomb for a 2 count when Cora Jade breaks up the 2 count. Roxanne Perez goes to hit Pop Rocks onto Bayley, but Cora Jade stops Pop Rocks, literally pulls Roxanne Perez off Bayley and hits her double underhook DDT for a 2 count. I thought that was really cool. We keep building up the crazy spots. We get the Tower of Doom spot. That wasn't enough. We get a violent, in the best way possible, 4-way forearm trade-off between all 4 of these great wrestlers. We get the Pop Rocks onto Bayley, again for another 2 count. And then we see Giulia saying, "All right, enough's enough. Arrivederci Nita, Cora Jade. Arrivederci Nita, Roxanne Perez." Giulia's not done. Another Northern Lights bomb onto Roxanne Perez for the 1, 2, 3 as the Beautiful Madness gets the win. And then before we go off air, Steph Vacker comes out. Steph Vacker won the North American Championship early on in the night. 2 of them hold up their belts, and then Jordan Grace comes in. And then we hear the biggest lie we hear every single week, that this is NXT, the best women's wrestling division on the planet. It's very good, folks. It's no Stardom. Anyway, we go to NXT this past week. We see a in-ring segment that sets up Jordan Grace, Giulia, and Steph Vacker taking on Fatal Influence, which is, once again, the main event. Main event, Giulia. Giulia really didn't do too much in this match. We get a really cool exchange with the baby faces hitting all their big moves. Eventually, we get some heat onto Steph Vacker. Steph Vacker is a very underrated seller. Hot tag to Jordan Grace. We do get some dive spots. Again, Julia does very, very minimal in this match. This match is all about building up Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace hits this insane back fist to Jasmine Nix, literally to the point where it's like she hits it, and then she was supposed to go and pick her up for her next move, but she falls over. It's just like, hold on, not yet. I mean, she hits this spinning back fist. This thing was brutal. Properly just floors poor Jasmine Nix. Eventually, though, after she picks her up, after maybe knocking her out legit, she hits the pump handle driver for the 3 count. Again, solid enough stuff. Not really a lot of Julia in this match because we're just building Jordynne Grace up. And then we have Jordynne Grace standing in between Steph Acker and Julia, looking at both belts. So we know that Jordynne Grace is going to be challenging for one of those belts soon. We just don't know which one yet. My guess is because Jordynne Grace was such a huge star in TNA and a big worldwide star, we need a big WrestleMania match, or the NXT WrestleMania coming up in Vegas. My guess is going to be Jordynne Grace and Julia. That would be my guess. Again, a great Fatal 4-Way on Vengeance Day, and solid enough stuff on NXT. Again, great job building up one Jordynne Grace.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We are out of time on the Marigold Standard. Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in to what's been possibly the longest Marigold Standard we've recorded, maybe ever, with the exception of the Summer Destiny show. But it has been a pleasure to talk through all of these shows. A fantastic Korakuen Hall show that if you haven't seen yet, go and watch it. Go and watch it. I mean, I don't know why you'd have listened to the review before you've watched it, but there you go. Definitely go and watch it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for all of your support. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please consider subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. We are literally absolutely everywhere. If you could leave us a 5-star review and a comment, that really helps us out as well. You can check out the Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. If you like these episodes early and ad-free, then you can sign up for as little as $1 solitary a month, and a whole host of bonus episodes as well. Check out the website, talkjoshi.com, for all of your news, shows, previews, all of your stats, championship histories to do with Marigold and to do with Stardom as well. You can check out social media at the Marigold Standard. No, at the Marigold Podcast. I apologize, unless it is Instagram or Threads or the Blue Sky, in which case it is Talk Joshi. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Mr. Turner, sign us off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram, on the Twitter, and the Blue Sky. If you're not a social media person or you just want to shoot me an email, that's perfectly fine. You just need to know the email address, and I'm going to give that to you right now with my help from my good friend Rob Goodwin. The email address simply is, folks, the StardomCast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another phenomenal episode of the Marigold Standard with some fantastic wrestling from our friends over at Dream Star Fighting Marigold. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because when we're all together, everybody's different. Everybody's special.